worship, they're my heroes. Give it a half one. Maybe
And now it's time to get you ready for the match with the Phoenix Rising pregame warm-up on the Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
home at last on this fantastic Saturday in the desert. Phoenix Rising, after 2 games away from 38th in Washington, returned to the friendly confines to take on Detroit City FC, a side who are certainly gathering the points in the Eastern Conference race for a home playoff match. Ryan Sikora, Kevin Cardez, here with you for the Rising Radio pregame warm-up show. And Kev, Phoenix come in fresh off a first win of 2025, and they did so in flying fashion on the road against San Antonio FC, the previously unbeaten league leaders.
Yeah, it was a big feel-good moment for the entire club. Rising really searching for that first moment to get 3 points added to the tally, and the West was sort of pulling away. The season and cups are not won in the first month, certainly, but you can watch the landscape of the league sort of shift out of your control, and the longer that you're on your back foot, the less of your own destiny that you control, especially down the stretch. Pa Marukan knew that, but it was all about trust and belief in the system that they built over the offseason, letting the system come together and gelling as a squad and a team, and they let it happen, and it finally came together to a point in San Antonio. They win 2-1, a huge win, 2 penalties, 1 for each team, and then Jurl smashes in the go-ahead goal, and they sit on a 2-1 lead all the way into the 90th. It was a massive win for the club, and it was a statement too, because finally, if they can get rolling, this is a very dangerous roster.
It was a first win for Phoenix since October 12th of last year, that 1-0 win on the road in Oakland. They look to win back-to-back games for the first time in that period, since that game. And it's a side that only won back-to-back games twice in each of the last 2 years. This would be a very early good sign for Phoenix Rising if they can get that done today.
Yeah, Phoenix Rising in 2023 and 2024 was not a team that was able to string together extremely impressive long runs of form. They were up and down, and they often had puncher's chances on the outside of the bubble trying to get in and out of the playoff line, and they were often just above the cut or just below the cut, and they managed to slip over. One year, they win the title from the back. The second time, they get in and they get knocked out by their biggest rivals in the first round in 2024. Not enough, and those long runs of form are what separate them and the best teams in the USL Championship. You see this teams like Lou City, they go on those long runs where they just win and they get points and results over and over and over. If Rising want to be a top-of-the-table team in a rapidly progressing USL Championship, a league that has gotten better over time, slowly but surely, they need to be able to put together those long runs of form that the behemoths of the championship often do to put together extremely successful seasons that end in good playoff games and home games, especially at 38th and Washington.
It's a Phoenix team that's scoring a ton of goals too, by the way. They've got 9 through these opening 5 contests. That's tied for second most in the USL Championship, but they play a very stingy Detroit City FC team who are struggling themselves to score goals. They're trying to solve that final third puzzle.
Yeah, Detroit City honestly reminds me a lot of last year's Rising. Rising last year were extremely strong through the back. They honestly probably had the best defense in the entire championship with a center back tandem that rotated around Pop Marboy, Mo Traore at times, but they really put it together, and that back 3 to back 4 look that Diego often experimented with, moving through the diamond in the middle, that midfield that was so fluid but very, very strong, and you couldn't really break past that mid to back block. Detroit does a lot of the same things. They often operate in a back 5, especially when they're chasing a point and a result. It's sort of a 3-2, but they really operate in a big, cohesive back 5 low block, and it's really strong. But they lack cohesiveness in the final third. It's the exact same sentence that we said over and over and over for Phoenix last year. It's the mistakes, the small slips, and they're not all the way there in that final third of the pitch. They struggle to find the back of the net, but it's on the way, and they added a lot in the midfield and the forward group to make it better. They're just gelling, just like Rising on the other side.
They're really hoping Detroit City is that one of those guys will step up for them at points during the season to score goals, to create chances. Danny Dicio, their second-year manager, was once a man that many thought Phoenix could have pursued over the course of this offseason to try and get him to come to coach for Phoenix Rising. Two teams that are getting healthier. We'll focus in on a Phoenix Rising side that at one point a couple weeks ago had 9 players absent from the first team squad. You're going to see a much more complete 11 today.
Yeah, and by the end of that game, Ryan, that you're referring to in Monterey, they had 11 players unavailable for selection by the end of the 90 minutes. 2 players sent off due to red cards, 11 players unavailable total to ever even touch the pitch by the time that last whistle was blown. It's been an up and down year health-wise for Rising. They're still trying to figure it out, but for the first time, they have 2 center backs on the bench, in Alex Araneda and Casey Walls. They stock Pop Marboy in the starting 11, and they have Braxton Montgomery through the middle. Colin Smith and Emmy Quayshow finally healthy and together for just the second time all year long. They have a mostly complete back line that's going to allow them to really push forward and be fearless, because they haven't done their goalkeeper any favor so far. Whether it's been Rakowski or Tristan Henry, they oftentimes have had mistakes that let balls go right through the back, and then it's those small miscues that just do nothing for the goalkeepers that have already had a tall task to come in for 2025. Doing those guys favors starts with being healthy, and as they get healthier, you're going to see a stronger, more complete Rising team.
You mentioned a lot of the backline struggles that Phoenix has faced here in 2025 through the spring season. As we enter summer, one thing is for certain. 2 Frenchmen for this Phoenix Rising team are absolutely flying, Isan Sako and Remy Cabral.
Yeah, Isan Sako and Remy Cabral are the 2 catalyst, almost talisman level players for Phoenix Rising in 2025. Sako is just a total footballer, and we've talked about that at times with other players, but I think that he might be the real true example in Phoenix this year. Whether he's out on the wing or he's playing up top as a 9 or even through as a 10, he is so multifaceted, and the way that he plays soccer is just professional. He's able to do whatever you ask him to, generally at a really good level, but he's going to do it, and he's not going to say no, and he's extremely fearless. Remy Cabral on the other side, that true pure 9 that they felt like they lacked last year. Remy Cabral was still a member of that team, but often in and out for injury, tragedy on and off the pitch, and it wasn't a complete 12 months for Remy in Phoenix, but as he comes back and it slowly starts to creep back for him, you see that striker that they signed, that Golden Boot winner in MLS Next Pro. Remy Cabral is a fantastic footballer. It's still in there, and it's coming out slowly but surely. That shot that he stung off the woodwork at the end in San Antonio, that would have been an absolute nail in the coffin to go up 3-1 after they scored their second goal, was a monster shot, inches away from being that signature Remy Cabral goal that we're still waiting for in Phoenix. It's on the way. He's working on it, but man, the French tandem is just fantastic.
A goal in back-to-back games for Remy Cabral. 4 goal involvements in 4 contests for Isan Nino Sako. The sun is setting. It's left quite the gracious glare across this beautiful stadium in central Phoenix. Phoenix Rising finally back at home following 2 straight trips, 1 west, 1 east. They take on Detroit City FC on this Saturday night in the USL Championship. It should be a fun one under the national eyes, and here on Rising Radio and KDUS AM 1060. This is the Rising Radio pregame warm-up.
This is a Chukwu's in. Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL Champions.
Bliss and a burst of red smoke. Phoenix Rising, our home. Welcome to 38th and Washington.
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
Buying a house can seem almost impossible, especially today. But with the right agent in your corner, it makes the challenge seem effortless. Hi, I'm Connor Cochran with Good Oak Real Estate, your go-to agent in the Valley. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Because finding the perfect home shouldn't be stressful, it should be exciting. Call 480-688-3200 today. Again, that's 480-688-3200. Let's have the conversation.
An early start for ASU baseball this Sunday on KDUS AM 1060. Join the Sun Devils as they look to end their weekend series with a win against the Bearcats. ASU is ready to prove their talents in the diamond and stand tall against all of their Big 12 opponents. The voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy, will have the call live from Ohio. It's ASU versus Cincinnati, pregame at 9:45 a.m. and first pitch at 10 on KDUS AM 1060 and KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils.
The lunch break.
If this team wants to go where they think they can go, deep in the playoffs, standing toe-to-toe, trading blows with the Dodgers, Zach Gallen might have to win a start in Dodger Stadium. Zach Gallen might have to go into Philadelphia, might have to go into New York, might have to go into Atlanta and win a road start for this team.
The Lunch Break, heard from 11 to 1 here on KDUS AM 1060 and the KDUS AM 1060 app.
You're listening to The Jim Rome Show.
Did the Mavericks raise ticket prices as soon as they saw Kyrie writhing on the floor in pain? Would not surprise me at all, given that's exactly what they did after they dealt Luka and before Kyrie went down. Never mind raising ticket prices. Now that Kyrie is lost for the year, why not just make it official and announce today that you're moving the franchise to Vegas? Trust me, nobody would be surprised.
Monday morning ASU baseball over on KAZG 1440. The Sun Devils make their way over to Indiana after wrapping up their weekend against Cincinnati to take on Purdue. Join the Sun Devils as they look to start their week on the diamond on a high note. It's Tim Healy on the live call. ASU baseball versus Purdue. A pregame starts bright and early at 9:45 a.m. and first pitch at 10 a.m. over on KAZG 1440 and online at KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils. You're listening to the pregame warm-up on the Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
A little bit of a validation when you're doing well, but you know that the results are not coming. So we talked a little bit about the adversity that we face with the injuries, with the plane delayed, you know, and having making it in by midnight, 12:30. You know, and then you have to have an afternoon game. But the resilience and the grit that the player shows is fantastic, and they have shown it all since we started in preseason. So for us, it was nothing new, right? But to see the drive that they had and understanding that doing the little things will lead into the performance and the victory that they want. And that
Start with Rising lineup. That was Pamadou Ka, fresh off his team's first win of the season. They are 1-2-2 in the Western Conference. Is Phoenix Rising FC, as we show you there, 11 Phoenix Rising entered tonight, chasing back-to-back wins for the first time since October of last year. Pamadou Ka making 3 changes to the team following last week's Sunday success in San Antonio. Tristan Henry retains his place in goal with Colin Smith, Pop Marboy, Braxton Montgomery, and Emil Quaisho above him. It's a traditional midfield returning with Carl Saint, Noble Akello, and Hope Aveyevu, the midfield 3 for Phoenix. And the championship's second best attack is spearheaded tonight by Remy Cabral and flanked by Jiro Margarita off the left and Isan Sacco off the right, who himself has 4 goal involvements in 4 games, Kevin Cardez, but it is his opposite today. Jiro Margarita, fresh off his first goal of the season, who's your player to watch for Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, Jiro fought through, ticky-tack injuries to start the season, didn't get a true full run out until the last couple of weeks, and he slowly worked his way back into the squad, and you saw exactly why they have so much faith in not just him, but his ability on and off the pitch. He wore the armband, he was the captain in absence of multiple Rising players off the pitch, notably Pop Marboy on red card suspension. He put on the armband and captained the side and also scored the go-ahead goal, and quite possibly the most significant one throughout 2025 besides the Damian Rivera 3-touch up and over through 2 against Rhode Island at home. Jiro's dribble ability is next to almost none, perhaps next to no one except Damian Rivera on the other side of the pitch when they play opposite of each other, but he is spectacular. The national from Curacao, just so technical on and off the pitch, manages to crash the box, and is what he does to draw defenders over that allows his frontmen to also get free. Jiro is special, and if he can score tonight, you'll see exactly why.
Well, the captain's armband last week in San Antonio. The opponent tonight is Detroit City FC. For just the 3rd time in Phoenix Rising history and the 2nd time in club history, they come to the Valley of the Sun. Carlos Herrera gets the start in goal, the former Monterey Bay FC goalkeeper. The wingbacks are Williams and Villanueva. Williams off the right, Alex Villanueva, the former Orange County man, off the left. It's a back 3 of Michael Bryant, Stephen Carroll, who captains the side, and Devin Amu-Mensah. A midfield 3 we think of Jay Chapman, Connor Rutz, and Ryan Williams, and a front 2 of Yesiel Cedeno and Jordan Adebayo-Smith, who gets the start. But Michael Bryant leads one of the best defensive units in the championship over the last couple of years. Kevin, he's your player to watch.
Yeah, Michael Bryant is Detroit through and through. Listen, they lost Maxi Rodriguez in the offseason. He goes over to Rhode Island, but they kept Ben Morris, one of those 3 players that have sort of, identified and made Detroit City FC a club that has been on the map. Michael Bryant has 112 appearances for the club so far through his career. It's one of the only clubs that he's actually played for year after year, and he leads the league in fouls won right now across all defenders in the championship. Important stat, because he is a hound, and he's annoying about it too. It's what makes him so good. He's a pest. He gets in your head, and that's what all of Detroit's backline does. They're a very physical, very almost kind of Nacho type team where they're just going to get under your skin, fight over and over and over, and you're going to get frustrated. Michael Bryant leads that charge. He's in charge of setting that tone. He does it week in and week out, and there's a chance through 15 weeks stretching from this season and the last that he's the most informed player in the championship. You can't point at a game where he's had a bad one and he keeps stacking them together. He leads a team that's so good defensively, and he does it week in and week out.
You'll catch that theme for most of the Detroit guys, not only physically but mentally, but also they stick around. This is a club that spent a long time trying to get to this stage of the USL Championship, so many years in NPSL and NISA, and they've got a lot of guys who have been around for 4, 5, some even 6 or 7 years in this Detroit City FC team. As we bring in the third member of our crew here tonight in Mahir Sinhasan down on the touchline. Mahir, bright yellow here tonight for you. Phoenix Rising back and fit by your eye.
Yeah, most definitely. A lot of key takeaways when you take a look at Phoenix Rising starting lineup. Again, you can look at Carl Saint, you can look at Pop Marboy, bringing just overall that spine back towards Phoenix Rising. Again, you take a look at last week's lineup against San Antonio FC. You had Braxton Montgomery, who tends to play as a 6, and Emi Quaisha, who tends to play at a left back, both playing center back in the national spotlight. You also have Montgomery still playing that left center back spot today. We'll talk more about him later. And then Casey Walls, who was one of those 9 players out for that Monterey Bay game, he's now back in the lineup, but he will be on the bench tonight.
Well, Mahir, let's make later now. What do you have on the 18-year-old who has become kind of the star of the early days of the season for Phoenix Rising, Braxton Montgomery?
Well, it's interesting when you take a look at Braxton, Ryan, because he started out as a guy, and he talked about this earlier this week, that, when he was at an academy game and Pamukka almost getting that job for Phoenix Rising, he kind of arrived, and then Braxton described it as wearing Birkenstocks. He was having short socks, and all of a sudden he's got to mature under Pa Moroka, who brings all this intensity to the starting lineup. And now Pa calls Braxton an old soul, and overall they have a great relationship going. And it leads to what I consider a lot of trust that Pa Moroka puts in these academy players. So many of these guys, even though the team is a little bit shorthanded, they are getting a lot more reps, and they might be seeing the field tonight.
3 members of Phoenix Rising's backline tonight. Colin Smith, 21, Pop Marboy, 21, Braxton Montgomery, 18 years old. The youth movement is alive and well in the Valley of the Sun, and they're really, really good at scoring goals, it seems. What have you made of that over the last couple of weeks? Phoenix, the second best attack in the championship.
Yeah, I mean, they're really just attacking the third overall, and we talked about this earlier, that even though Phoenix Rising, they've had those chances, they've still been trying to find those goals and put it in the back of the net. And we've heard Pa Moroka say throughout this entire season, quote, "We know what we're capable of." That's something he's uttered even with the losses that have happened, even with Monterey Bay, where you see Saint, where you see Pop Marboy go down and eventually get sent off. It's overall a Phoenix Rising side that's showing a lot of resilience. They're showing that intensity, and they're buying into Pa Moroka's system.
I'm here. Thank you. You'll keep us updated down on the touchlines throughout this one here tonight between Phoenix Rising and Detroit. Kevin, let's go to that Phoenix Rising team once again, back to some normalcy in this 2025 lineup. Do we even really know what's normal for this team?
No, not really, Ryan. And we've talked about it on and off through a few pregame and postgame shows now, but these are really valuable reps. Paul will be the first person to tell you don't win a championship in the first month, but you do start to gel, and I think that that's extremely important. And to me, someone who really characterizes that is Carl Fred Saint. We'll get into him more later, but Carl is the picture of somebody who really needs to be around, and they're happy that he's finally going to hopefully come back for an extended run of form. He has long national duty likely coming up with Haiti over the summer, but his suspension due to a red card and his injury, and then he goes out to go train with Haiti at one point. He needs to be here to really be ingrained in this midfield. It's a completely new set of guys. They play Hope, they play Noble, they play Carl. It's that group of 3 that needs to gel more, and it's not just Carl either. It's the back line that's in and out interchangeably, but slowly, as guys come back, you start to see the lineup solidify itself a little more, and Pa's dedication to sticking to the shape in all but last week is going to show eventually. These are guys who have played in and out of the system. It's the same thing week in and week week out, and it's why they're so replaceable. They can go in, they can go out. He'll tell you this too. He doesn't have a starting group. He has a squad, right? It's the squad that he's going to interchange, mix and match. And the more that they play, the more connected they'll be. But you still want your best players to be out there fit and on the pitch, and that starts hopefully last week and tonight.
I think I'm going to have PTSD at the end of the year from how many times Pamadou Ka has said, I have a squad.
I have a squad.
That is essentially the term of the year for Phoenix Rising, and it's been very useful to start this season. Detroit have been pretty healthy. They are very stout in a back five. They're searching for some final third ability.
Yeah, I mean, they're just a little disconnected in that final third, and that's what comes from adding so many new pieces through the midfield and up top. They took a few gambles, just like the Rising did, trying to find that one, lightning dynamite, catch it in a bottle moment for them. Find a player that becomes a star in this league by taking a chance, whether it's through Next Pro or guys who have high pedigree elsewhere. And they added a few strikers, they added a few midfielders, but if they want to put one in the back of the net, eventually you need to be on the same page. They haven't scored in the last 2 weeks. You're trying to find that goal. Can you find that goal? And that's going to be the issue for Rising tonight. They've struggled to really get in games early and assert themselves on the match. If Detroit can find the net early, they're going to park it in that back five. You can't let that happen if you're Rising.
And so that means the first 15, 20 minutes for you, the most vital. They've probably been in a game all season, and that's where Phoenix has, as you put it earlier, lost a lot of games.
Yeah, they've lost a lot of games in that first 15, whether it was 3 minutes through in Monterey or 12 minutes through the week before that. Rhode Island was able to find that punch and then the counter punch so quick, and we always asked, why do you need to be scored on to score the next goal? But then they found it against San Antonio. They scored first, and then they scored the third goal, and they always kept that lead. Thank goodness. But once again, even in San Antonio, it took one long ball over the top to let San Antonio equalize. 90 seconds of gameplay before they equalize with the penalty in the back of the net. It's stuff like that that can't happen, especially against such a tidy team in defensive possession like Detroit City. But when that possession falters, it's often in front of the nylon, and that should give them an advantage when it comes to controlling the pace of the game.
It's been, in all purposes, a mental battle at times this year for this Phoenix Rising team. We're just 5 games in. We've got so much football left to be played in the USL Championship. Fixture congestion coming up as well. This is the Rising Radio pregame warm-up show on Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
Zuzuchukwu's in. Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL Champions.
Bliss and a burst of red smoke. Phoenix Rising, our home. Welcome to 38th and Washington.
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
Buying a house can seem almost impossible, especially today. But with the right agent in your corner, it makes the challenge seem effortless. Hi, I'm Connor Cochran with Good Oak Real Estate, your go-to agent in the Valley. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Because finding the perfect home shouldn't be stressful, it should be exciting. Call 480-688-3200 today. Again, that's 480-688-3200. Let's have the conversation.
An early start for ASU baseball this Sunday on KDUS AM 1060. Join the Sun Devils as they look to end their weekend series with a win against the Bearcats. ASU is ready to prove their talents in the diamond and stand tall against all of their Big 12 opponents. The voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy, will have the call live from Ohio. It's ASU versus Cincinnati, pregame at 9:45 a.m. and first pitch at 10 on KDUS AM 1060 and KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils. Monday morning ASU baseball over on KAZG 1440. The Sun Devils make their way over to Indiana after wrapping up their weekend against Cincinnati to take on Purdue. Join the Sun Devils as they look to start their week on the diamond on a high note. It's Tim Healy on the live call. ASU baseball versus Purdue. A pregame starts bright and early at 9:45 a.m. and first pitch at 10 a.m. over on KAZG 1440 and online at KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils.
The lunch break.
If this team wants to go where they think they can go, deep in the playoffs, standing toe-to-toe, trading blows with the Dodgers, Zach Gallen might have to win a start in Dodger Stadium. Zach Gallen might have to go into Philadelphia, might have to go into New York, might have to go into Atlanta and win a road start for this team.
The lunch break, heard from 11 to 1 here on KDUS AM 1060 and the KDUS AM 1060 app.
You're listening to the Jim Rome Show.
Did the Mavericks raise ticket prices as soon as they saw Kyrie writhing on the floor in pain? Would not surprise me at all, given that's exactly what they did after they dealt Luka and before Kyrie went down. Never mind raising ticket prices. Now that Kyrie is lost for the year, why not just make it official and announce today that you're moving the franchise to Vegas? Trust me, nobody would be surprised.
Hey Phoenix Rising fans, this is Discount Tire, your hometown tire retailer and trusted partner on the road for over 65 years. We know it can be overwhelming when buying tires, but we're here to help. Our online tire buying guide, Treadwell, makes finding the right tires simple. Just plug in your vehicle, location, and driving habits, and Treadwell will give you unbiased, personalized recommendations based on your needs, not based on price. Inviting, easy, and safe. Just how tire buying should be. Shop tires with Treadwell at discounttire.com. Let's get you taken care of.
Oakland's beaten
You're
Tulsa.
listening to the pregame warm-up on the Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
Back here from the desert, Phoenix Rising fresh and loaded following a win in San Antonio for the Rising Radio pregame warm-up show. Ryan Sikora, Kevin Cardez still with you. Mahir Sinhasan hanging around somewhere. I can't quite find him. I wonder where he is.
I lost him too, which is impressive because he's wearing bright yellow.
Yeah, you really can't lose the guy. I think he's far side. Doesn't really matter. We'll get back into the business end of things here. Keys to the game, Phoenix Rising, Kevin Cardez.
Yeah, don't let Detroit park the bus. If you concede first, they're going to sit on their heels for the, whether it's 85 minutes or it's 60, whenever you concede that first goal, they will sit on their back heels and they will find a way to win 1-0. Don't let that happen. The moments of brilliance have been there when you need them for Phoenix, but you don't want to be chasing like that. It just can't happen. So don't let them park the bus. Make sure you get off on the front foot.
So for Phoenix, that's the idea there. Detroit, a team that's looking to find some connection in the final third. We've already touched on it once or twice throughout this pregame warm-up. Jordan Adebayo Smith getting the start. It's been striker by committee for DCFC to begin this season. Darren Smith, the South African's got more of the opportunities. This, in fact, the first game he hasn't started for Detroit through the opening 5 games of the season. He's got 2 goals. Adebayo Smith, a former Minnesota United and Minnesota United 2-man, gets the grab. He's 5'11", and he has the patience and the prowess to be able to score goals for this team. Kevin will talk about him in just a moment, but we'll start here. Carl Fred Saint has been phenomenal for Phoenix Rising when he's gotten the chance to. He's been up and down in spurts, but when you give him the good run out, he's been pretty darn okay. He's only played 3 times, missed for international duty, and then missed last week due to a red card suspension that he received over against Monterey Bay FC. He's played 25 times for Haiti. He's a real tidy, technical midfielder in there. Job is to just get it, move it, get it, move it, get it, move it, and clean up from times to times to let the Star Boys go before him and make some stuff happen. On Adebayo Smith, again, former Minnesota United 2-goal scorer. The biggest thing with him is he made 11 appearances a year ago with Minnesota United's first team. He got 17 appearances for the second team. He scored 5 times, registered an assist. He's got the potential to be a powerful goal scorer in this Detroit lineup next to Ben Morris, who does not get the start today. Instead, it'll be Yesiel Cedeno who has the chance to be an effective piece in that secondary striker role for this Detroit City side, led by Danny DiCio in his second year as the head coach. 19, 11, and 13 in charge. The London-born English-Italian Danny DiCio, as he takes on Pamadou Ka for the first time in his coaching career. It's 4th in the Eastern Conference, Detroit, and it's 10th in the Western Conference, Phoenix. 2 sides fighting for both points and performance in the early days of the USL Championship season. We'll step aside, we'll come back, we'll have kickoff. This was the Rising Radio pregame warm-up show.
This is a Chukwueze Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL Champions.
Bliss and a burst of red smoke. Phoenix Rising, our home. Welcome to 38th and Washington.
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
Buying a house can seem almost impossible, especially today. But with the right agent in your corner, it makes the challenge seem effortless. Hi, I'm Connor Cochran with Good Oak Real Estate, your go-to agent in the Valley. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Because finding the perfect home shouldn't be stressful, it should be exciting. Call 480-688-3200 today. Again, that's 480-688-3200. Let's have the conversation.
An early start for ASU baseball this Sunday on KDUS AM 1060. Join the Sun Devils as they look to end their weekend series with a win against the Bearcats. ASU is ready to prove their talents in the diamond and stand tall against all of their Big 12 opponents. The voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy, will have the call live from Ohio. It's ASU versus Cincinnati, pregame at 9:45 a.m. and first pitch at 10 on KDUS AM 1060 and KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils. Monday morning ASU baseball over on KAZG 1440. The Sun Devils make the way over to Indiana after wrapping up their weekend against Cincinnati to take on Purdue. Join the Sun Devils as they look to start their week on the diamond on a high note. It's Tim Healy on the live call. ASU baseball versus Purdue. Pregame starts bright and early at 9:45 a.m. and first pitch at 10 a.m. over on KAZG 1440 and online at KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils.
The lunch break.
If this team wants to go where they think they can go, deep in the playoffs, standing toe-to-toe, trading blows with the Dodgers, Zach Gallen might have to win a start in Dodger Stadium. Zach Gallen might have to go into Philadelphia, might have to go into New York, might have to go into Atlanta and win a road start for this team.
The lunch break. Heard from 11 to 1 here on KDUS AM 1060 and the KDUS AM 1060 app.
You're listening to the Jim Rome Show.
Did the Mavericks raise ticket prices as soon as they saw Kyrie writhing on the floor in pain? Would not surprise me at all, given that's exactly what they did after they dealt Luka and before Kyrie went down. Never mind raising ticket prices. Now that Kyrie is lost for the year, why not just make it official and announce today that you're moving the franchise to Vegas? Trust me, nobody would be surprised.
Hey Phoenix Rising fans, this is Discount Tire, your hometown tire retailer and trusted partner on the road for over 65 years. We know it can be overwhelming when buying tires, but we're here to help. Our online tire buying guide, Treadwell, makes finding the right tires simple. Just plug in your vehicle, location, and driving habits, and Treadwell will give you unbiased, personalized recommendations based on your needs, not based on price. Inviting, easy, and safe. Just how tire buying should be. Shop tires with Treadwell at discounttire.com. Let's get you taken care of.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
We're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
I'm just texting him back. I'm just posting a story. I'm just changing the song. I'm just...
No. When it comes to distracted driving, just don't. Sending a text takes your eyes off the road for just 5 seconds, but in that time, your car can travel the length of an entire football field. Any distracted driving just isn't worth it.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Peyton Manning, and I'm partnering with the American Red Cross this year to tackle blood shortages. Giving blood's important because every 2 seconds, someone actually needs blood, and unfortunately, only like 3% of the U.S. population donates. So we have to step up to give and to make sure there's plenty of blood available for those in need. Visit redcrossblood.org to get in the game and make an appointment to give.
Let's get into the action. Phoenix Rising Soccer, live now on the Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
Desert dusk descends on the valley, and under the shimmering southwest sky, sparks are set to fly on this April night. Phoenix Rising Prop Protectors back at home in downtown Phoenix, welcoming the battle-tested boys from the Motor City as Detroit City FC clash of fire and fortitude from 38th and Washington. It's a match week 6 nightcap in the USL Championship on KDUS AM 1060, and once again a national audience for Phoenix and Detroit on Sirius XM. Ryan Sikora, Kevin Cardez on hand in Arizona. Momentum, the name of the game for tonight's sides, Kev.
Yeah, I mean, Rising wants to find two. They couldn't do this often enough in 2024. Can they start to string together a run of wins and a fantastic run of form in 2025? Can you do it early? Two things you couldn't do enough last year. One thing you didn't do at all. Detroit, can you get back in the score sheet? Can you find a goal? Can you get another win? They haven't won in their last 3, 2 draws, 1 loss. They started off the season very strong with 2 very commanding wins. They're trying to find momentum. Rising's trying to find momentum. One's building, one's trying to stop a slide.
The South End's drums bang as we bring in the third member of our team. Down to the touchline, it's Mihir Sinhasra.
Yeah, that's right, Ryan. Despite a delayed flight and an afternoon game against San Antonio FC, Phoenix Rising got their first win of 2025. Head coach Pam Muruka said after the game that players got a sense of validation in picking up 3 points, saying, quote, "We know what we're capable of." A mantra for this new season and a new era under Ka. Tristan Henry was saying, how do you get from win number 1 to win number 2? Well, it's doing a better job at winning the game within the game. That means being disciplined on defense. And oh, by the way, his defense is getting much better for this clash against Detroit as Carl Saint and Pop Marboy find themselves back in the starting 11 after a red card suspension kept them out of the match against San Antonio FC. Overall, a Phoenix Rising side that is improving in terms of fitness, but overall, Pam Muruka is just knocking on wood and saying, let's see.
I'm here. Thanks. We'll see you from throughout this game down on the touchline at 38th and Washington. Sides taking their photos. It's a red home shirt for the home side in Arizona tonight. Detroit making its second ever trip to Phoenix in a full white kit with a teal block across the middle. Goalkeepers Tristan Henry in black for Rising, and it is Carlos Herrera of Detroit City in a dark deep green. As we bring you live on site from 38th and Washington. Phoenix corral themselves in the center of the park. Detroit will stand over the ball. A temperature north of 90 degrees at kickoff here for this first time of the year. It was really hot today. I think it hit over 100 in the Phoenix area. It's getting hotter. Phoenix taking their time. Detroit's ready and rev to go. Natalie Simon, your referee this evening. 34th USL Championship contest for her. Rest of the crew, Ben Regal on the near side is the AR number 1. Justin Fillmore on the far AR number 2. Mark Novosel is the 4th official for this referee crew, clad in a bright yellow. Phoenix breaks their huddle. Tristan Henry returns to his goal, the South End at his back. Detroit stand over it. Connor Rutz, the man who casts his shadow. Two teams looking to continue their point collection to begin the start of this USL Championship season. Detroit 4th in the Eastern Conference, 2-1-2. Phoenix 10th in the West on 5 points. We are off and running from 38th in Washington. A touch for Michael Bryant and whipped into the space for Jordan Adebayo-Smith. And wide right for the right back, Reese Williams, who's been one of the top creators in the USL Championship to start this year. He's first in the league in big chances created. Touch for the captain, Stephen Carroll. Shifting right, Michael Bryant. A diagonal up over the top, putting the teenager under pressure. That's Braxton Montgomery. In behind for Rutz, and well swept up by Pop Marboy. Phoenix's captain, back in red. Back with the armband after missing the San Antonio game due to a red card suspension, Kev.
Yeah, I mean, now this is the most important set piece of the season, not because it's deep in a game, but can you do it 60 seconds in? Can you give us the first 15 minutes of explosive play, do it strong, start fast?
You have to defend. Phoenix did a much better job of that from set pieces against San Antonio, much to the credit of their new goalkeeper, Tristan Henry. Missed out on the first 3 games, has now started the last 3 for Rising. Whipped in swinging ball from the right side towards the back post, is headed away by Marboy. Kept alive by Reese Williams. Up over the top, a chase for Devin Amu-Mensah. And cleared away by Colin Smith into the shattering stands of this 38th and Washington ground, the central location for Phoenix Rising. 3rd year at this park. A touch for Detroit in the middle, who've had much of the opening ball. Sheldon and Bryant in his own half. Rolls the ball to the right side and gets it to the touchline with Williams. First time ball down the line for Rutz. Defended well by Montgomery. And it's turned over the touchline for a Detroit throw. Reese Williams will take it as Detroit look to urge much of this ball in the early going, Kevin. Down the right side.
2 sides that want to control possession, but Detroit runs through the back just like Rising did a year ago. You can see the parallels, but now they're going to try to put the gas pedal down to the floor, see if they can find some connection in the final third very early, catch the Rising off guard.
Over the top for Williams on the right side, defended well by Emil Quayshow. Quayshow drives one down the line. It's intercepted by Michael Bryant, the 30-year-old from California. And it's one high. Here's Margarita for Phoenix in the middle of the park, driving in 2-on-4. Margarita stutter steps, looks to get it onto his right, and does, and puts it over the bar. Phoenix deadly on the counter in the 3rd minute. It stays scoreless, but that's the Rising game, the blueprint of drive and break with their athletes up top.
Yeah, what a stark difference from what we thought they were going to play in the first 3 matches of the season. We thought, hey, they're going to try to control possession and then, maybe go out direct, maybe go wide, but we're trying to figure out how they wanted to play. Instead, they turned into a really heavy counter-attacking team. It's what they do off the break, and you saw Drill manage to get himself free after 3 touches, switching from left to right foot twice, finds the shot but puts it over the crossbar. Vastly different from a year ago, but extremely effective this time around.
Detroit's goal kick finds the feet of Devin Amu-Mensah, and now in behind, a run now for Adebayo Smith, ushered away by Pat Marboy. The Senegalese center back for Phoenix sees it out. It's a Detroit throw in the attacking 3rd, 4th minute. Left side, thrown in. Chance to pivot out of pressure. Here's Ryan Williams, nodded backwards. A touch for Jay Chapman, up over the top. Looking to the right side for Reese Williams. Driving the other direction, defended by Quayshow. Williams swivels beyond a swim move to the byline. He's taken to ground. No, says the referee. And Phoenix will turn it over the other direction. A chance to run for Gerald Margarita once again. Hope Avievu busting along. Down the line, he receives the ball. It's intercepted well by Stephen Carroll, and Avievu shoves Carroll to the ground. It's a free kick for Detroit in their own half.
It's sort of a rough start for Quayshow through the first 5 minutes. Got beat early on in the first 60, conceded a corner, got turned around in the 3rd minute, and then Quayshow manages to fight his way back and just have the ball push it down to Marga. He wants to settle in. He's such an important piece for Rising, especially off the left side. They haven't been able to access through the channels because they've been shorthanded over there. It starts with him.
Detroit plays short. It's intercepted by Phoenix the other way. Avievu turning away from trouble. One back by Chapman. And over the touchline, last touched off the chest of Gerald Margarita. A scoreless start to this game. Much like last week was in San Antonio for Phoenix, and certainly like last week was for Detroit. They had one of the 2 0-0 draws to begin this year in the USL Championship. Think about that. We've played 5 match weeks in full. Every team's played at least 4 games. You're looking at over 50 games.
Just about, yeah.
Just 2 0-0 draws so far in the USL Championship. The excitement of this league continues to grow with goals galore. Carroll a touch, and wide for Bryant on the right side of the back 3. Bryant pivots into the middle of the park. A touch for Yesiel Cedeno. Knotted down for Amu-Mensah. First time ball to the left touchline for Alex Villanueva. Villanueva driving into the half space on the left side towards the 18. Flicked across towards Adebayo Smith. He whiffed it. It'll trickle through. Last touched off a Phoenix defender who saw it out for a corner kick, but Jordan Adebayo Smith was sat alone at the back post and could not convert for DCFC.
So lucky, Rising R, that Jordan didn't quite find a foot on the ball. Tristan was 5 feet to the left and had no chance to save that if he was even tapped in the direction of the net. Rising catch a break because they're still disconnected. Detroit trying to find an answer.
In front of the south end, another ball going to be in swung off the left foot. From the near touchline, 6th minute. Good service, back post, Rising high, missed by Henry, shot over the bar. Skied high into the air by a Detroit man. It was a wide open frame after Henry went and risked it, and it stays scoreless.
The score sheet might say 0-0. Rising haven't started this one strong, which has been the problem week in and week out. They did enough against San Antonio to hold off a barrage, but it felt like San Antonio were the punchers. They were the aggressors, even through the 90. This time, Detroit misses a chance in front. Jordan can't get a foot, and then they send one over the crossbar, but Rising's not starting strong again.
Quayshaw over the top, was looking for the run of Sacco, could not connect. 93% of the ball through the first 7 minutes for Detroit City. Le Rouge leading the way, a ball in behind. Villanueva looking for the run of Rutz. And Smith comes together in a collection area, and he sees it out for a goal kick. Worth noting that amongst that 93% of the ball that Detroit has, Phoenix has the lone shot in this game. Henry a touch in his own 6. He finds Montgomery, whipped wide. Marboy, Pop Marboy looking to drive into room. He finds the feet of Sacco, Isan Sacco, and now for Saint, and then whipped all the way from right to left. A touch for Emil Quayshaw checking in. 2 tape wrists from Quayshaw. He finds the heels of the touchline of Jurl Margarita. Dancing, driving, Jurl. Cuts back, pivots, nowhere forward, so backwards he goes for Noble Okello. Into the center of the circle for Pop Marboy. Wide right, Smith, 8th minute. Phoenix finally some stable possession. Quayshaw in his own half and backwards he goes.
Man, and there's Carl. That's what they want him to do. Be the metronomic back and forth passer. Move it left to right and do it through Carl. He was so good at it in Next Pro. It's why Dallas thought that he was good enough to play for the first team, not once, not twice, but over 9 times. He is fantastic. Let him do his job, but he needs to sink in and continue to gel.
You thought in that Monterey game where he was sent off for a straight red card, you thought he was doing a little too much in that center of the park in that number 6 defensive midfield role.
He's not a guy who's supposed to find searching balls that break lines. He's supposed to move it back and forth, left and right. If he has space, he can take it and attack, but he just tried to find the line-breaking ball. That's not his job. There are people on this team who are employed to do that. That's not Carl's role in the team, and it felt like he was pressing and trying to do too much.
Turned over by Okello, but won immediately back by Marboy. A good spell for Phoenix here. Stable possession. They've shot all the way up to the gigantic number of 37% possession. 9th minute. Quayshaw another touch. Left by Montgomery. He's playing on the left side today of this back 4. He's a right-footed player who's played mostly as a left back. Smith directing traffic, Saint. Back for Smith. And now wide for Sacco. Sporting a bright white headband today is Isan Sacco.
I was just about to ask you, what are your thoughts on headband Sacco?
It's a much thicker headband than the one on Jurl Margarita's head. Ooh. Detroit
like
so stable as well in this back 3. Turns into a back 5 shape defensively, Kev.
Yeah, in possession they're going to be in that back 3. It's more of a 3-2-3-2 with a line leading striker that sort of breaks it.
As the ball flies over the top for Sacco in an onside position, barreling towards the box, cutting back onto his left, crossing to the far post, chested down Margarita. He is offside inside the 6. It was a perfectly tight, precision-filled line from Detroit, and Phoenix's long spell is thwarted by Le Rouge.
Couldn't quite finish off that statement, but I mean, the football spoke for us instead.
Sure.
That back 3 turns into that beautiful back 5 when they're defending, and it's what makes them so hard to score against, and it's why you can't let them punch first, because they are so capable, and they'll let it happen where they'll just sit on their back heels and defend, defend, defend. There was nothing else for Sacco to do besides try to switch the run of play and give the ball to Marga. Even if Marga was onside, they had 3 guys in front of him, and there probably wasn't going to be a quality shot because of it. They tried, they failed, and it's going to be the story of the night.
Other way for Detroit. They barrel over towards the attacking third. One long ball over the top for Adebayo Smith to chase. He chases well. Dropped back wide. A low cross blocked off the backside of Colin Smith. And now Phoenix the other direction, 11th minute, 0-0. Breaking on the counter is Avievu and thrashed to the ground. It will be a yellow card out of the pocket of Natalie Simon. It will be issued to a Detroit midfielder on the break. It's Avievu who wins the free kick, and Phoenix so clinical on the counter as Reese Williams is the name in the book, the first of the night in the 11th minute.
Yeah, Hope might not be the fastest sprinter. He's not going to go out there and run a 4.440, but the way that he controls the break, he's often prone to drawing a foul. You could say, hey, it stops our run and counter, but man, it sets up the Rising in such a valuable piece of the pitch where every time you just have to smile and take the win.
Feels like a Detroit City-esque start, 0-0 through the first 10 minutes plus. It's not what Phoenix has been accustomed to as a side. Goals against early and often to start this season. Turning out of pressure, this is room for Williams. That's Ryan Williams. Away he goes and nodding it backwards for Yesiel Cedeno. Looking to switch play, he goes backwards and long on a diagonal for the right foot of Michael Bryant. Bryant to touch, turn backwards center park, Jay Chapman. One of a couple of Canadians on this Detroit side that much of this Phoenix staff will be familiar with. Chapman, Marcelo Polisi as well. Played against Pamadou Ka and Vikram Virk, the Phoenix assistant, as well as their video man, Vitor Ferreira, while they spent some time at Pacific FC in the Canadian Premiership. Phoenix win it back deep. Sacco, Smith, Sacco, lost high. Chance to sweep up for Saint. He does so well. Okello, first time ball back to the feet of Colin Smith. Now Isan Sacco and Smith again, all in his own third. Slipping as he pivoted was Smith, pressured well. And Phoenix will have to clear their lines up into the sky, 13th. 0-0. Header won by Carroll. Second ball Okello, over the top Cabral. He's tripped up. He slipped, says the referee. And a late whistle. Whoa. And Stephen Carroll, hands on his head, can't believe it. It was 3 or 4 seconds late from Natalie Simon, but Phoenix win a free kick in the 13th, Kevin.
And honestly, they earned it, Ryan. That was beautiful back and forth, one-touch football in their own third to get the ball out. Something that they struggled with in the first 2 and 3 weeks specifically. It led to a goal at times in the early run of the season, but man, very crisp, very clean, and it's those passes that let them get out of positions like that. And it happens because of guys like Noble and Carl slowly but surely gelling into the squad and getting better.
Rising on the ball again, Margarita right in front of Danny Dicio, the Detroit manager, clapping, urging his team onward. Looking for pressure, they double Quayshaw in the middle. Plays it back for Montgomery, a little shove in the backside of Braxton Montgomery. Marboy, Okello dropping in, Smith getting a touch. Speed of Sacco, swept away before it could get to Okello. One in the middle by Ryan Williams, and out for a Phoenix throw. Middle of the park, right side. First 15 minutes that has seen very little. Quayshaw back for Tristan Henry in his own 18, the goalkeeper for Phoenix. Stings one over the top, looking for Sacco, knotted along by Ryan Williams of Detroit, headed down by Rutz. Chasing in the middle of the park is Cedeno, and a touch for Chapman. And back for Carroll. Chapman again. Other direction, Rutz attacking third. Pivots out of pressure. Can't get away from Avievu though. And now for Margarita. Phoenix fresh and fancy. What a challenge in the middle of the park by Ryan Williams. Okello comes through and throws his shoulder into the body of Ryan Williams, and he's received his third yellow card of the season. The big 6'5" Canadian, Noble Okello in the book. 15th minute, 0-0.
And Detroit is just so frustrated because they're not doing anything, but they're doing just enough to stop any run of play that Rising have. They aren't creative, they're not doing anything special in the final third, they're not pushing the pace and creating chances, they're just stopping the Rising. They're just putting their foot down over and over and over, and eventually, if you make a mistake, then they'll try to capitalize. But until then, they're cool with just waiting and stopping everything you try to do.
This is one of the better defensive sides in the USL Championship, top 10 in goals against. They have 2 clean sheets. They're one of 9 teams with multiple clean sheets through the first 5 games of the season. Long ball over the top from Detroit, corralled by Quayshaw inside his own box, and back for Henry. The goalkeeper moves it, Marboy the captain. Phoenix looking long, Marboy switching play from right to left, Margarita chasing to keep it in, and doing so well. Dropping into his own half is Gerald Margarita. And Noble Okello with space to drive. Saint back for Montgomery. Much more Phoenix's game the last 5 or so minutes.
That's what they want to play. Third game in a row, by the way, Ryan, for a yellow card on Noble Okello.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
There's another foul in the middle of the park. It looked like Colin Smith came through the side of Alejandro Villanueva. Alexander Villanueva. I think Alejandro Villanueva played for the Steelers for a long time. Center, maybe a guard.
Winning in the trenches and in the first third.
That is what Detroit does, the trenches. Less so the first third. And the final third, a real challenging point for DCFC. Just 6 goals through 5 games. It's tied for 11th most, but they've struggled as of late to really create chances. They capitalize well.
2 of those goals against Miami. So 4 through 5 against non-Miami opponents.
4 through 4.
4 through 4, my apologies. Right, math. This would be game week 6.
And maybe we have to stop discrediting Miami FC as well. 2-0 lead at one point against San Antonio FC. It's 2-1 now into the 85th. Touch forward, Bryant finds the feet of Adebayo Smith. 17th minute wide right for Williams. Detroit in the attacking third. Jordan Adebayo Smith turns away from Montgomery. Back for Reese Williams. Pirouettes through the body of Quayshaw, and he's taken the ground. Another free kick chance for Detroit in the attacking portion of the pitch. Detroit still without a shot in this game, but they have probably had more of the ball in the attacking third than Phoenix has.
They also had that brilliant opportunity in front of net, one that got skied over the crossbar. And if Jordan would have just been a foot to the right, he would have put another shot on the net that probably would have gone past Tristan Henry. They don't have the numbers to show for it, but you watch the match and you know that Detroit's been on the puncher's end.
I wonder if that got credited as a clearance. It looked like a clear-cut shot to you and I, but
it looked like one to me, yeah.
Opta has not picked it up. The live stats following along here, 18th minute.
I will talk to Mr. Opta about it.
You know him?
Personally.
It's good for you, man.
Thanks, man. I try.
One right hand into the sky from Williams. Maybe 15 paces off the end line, 2 off the touch line on the right side. Drives an outswinging ball, cleared away at the 6 by Montgomery. Fell high for Cedeno, who stings one. And it's blocked away by Phoenix. Headed around by Detroit, and Margarita sees it away. Phoenix a throw. Okello got it from Quayshaw. Back for Quayshaw. And directing traffic back for Braxton Montgomery. A third straight start for the 18-year-old Phoenician Braxton Montgomery. Played the full 90 against Monterey. Played the full 90 in the 2-1 win against San Antonio. Starts on the left side as a center back next to Pontmore Boyd. Ball over the top from Quayshaw. No run from Margarita. And cleaned up by Carlos Herrera, former Monterey Bay goalkeeper, who's in his first year with Detroit City FC. Kept a clean sheet. This is his 3rd consecutive start.
He has not had a lot to do tonight. Rising have put no pressure on anyone except the center backs of Detroit, and even that seems like a stretch through 20 minutes.
Ball over the top. Detroit on it. Left side, now back in the middle for Stephen Carroll. Long ball over the top to chase for Reese Williams. He nods it along. This is Cedeno attacking third for the left-footed Yesiel Cedeno. Dropping back for Ryan Williams in the middle of the park. Williams searching. Backwards he goes. Chapman, the Canadian. And turn wide left for Villanueva. Defended by Sacco. Middle of the park, Chapman. All 10 white shirts in the attacking half. Here's a chance to cross low and hard. A touch for Connor. Rutz is steered away by Phoenix. Kept alive. Chapman chasing. Keeping it on the left touchline, and one back by Smith. Out for a throw, 20th minute. Still 0-0 from 38th in Washington on this Saturday night kickoff. Phoenix back at home after 2 away days. There's 2 coming up for a Detroit team. Both these teams getting set for the United States Open Cup and the midweek. Detroit has a USL League 1 draw against Westchester. Phoenix, fellow championship club in Tulsa, away from home. Amu Mensah turned backwards. Detroit are a team that like to have the ball. It's fair, Kevin. 56.1% their average on the season. Bursting forward is Rutz for DCFC. LaRouge dressed in white tonight. Rutz wide for Williams, lost, one back. Williams wide again for the other Williams. Ryan to Reese. Reese across, diagonally into the box, lifted away by Marboy. Cabral using his body, not well enough, and cleaned up by Michael Bryant.
It just feels like Rising's been so sloppy so far, just not winning the duels. And that was the issue 2 weeks ago, too, against Rhode Island.
Reese Williams, nodded backwards, Michael Bryant. Cabral giving a chase to Stephen Carroll, the captain. Amu Mensah, left side, line splitting ball out of Bio Smith. Rutz, wide Villanueva, left side, 22nd. Looking across, gets a man jumping. Villanueva on his right. Dropping back, deep cross, run of Cedeno, headed away by Montgomery, using every inch of his 5'9" frame. It's another throw for Detroit on the left side in the attacking third.
Rising still on the back foot. Detroit, this is exactly what they wait for. Just give us an opportunity to push. And then if they come out of this with no goal or even a goal, they'll go back to sitting and they'll wait for an opportunity to catch this one out in front of net.
Ball on the byline, crossed high into the air at the 6. It's knotted away by Henry. He could only punch it, Tristan Henry, away for a corner kick. Could not quite reach out and touch. Detroit, another opportunity to serve in this first half. First from the far side, third of the night for Detroit. Two hands in the air and swung ball. Could not get past the first post. Pushed away by Montgomery, out for another corner.
To no fault of the fans, Ryan, this might be the quietest game that I've sat through at 38th and Washington before it gets too hot, because there's nothing to get excited about yet. You're just waiting for a moment.
Just a quiet night so far, headed away by Quayshow. Detroit keeps it again. Right-footed cross up into the mix, pushed around. Marboy got a touch, and he keeps it in play. With plenty of room is Pop Marboy to drive one forward from right to left. Searching run from Margarita. It's a great touch from Churro Margarita, and it's swept away lively by Ryan Reese, by Reese Williams. One back by Phoenix deep. Quayshow for Phoenix. And back for Montgomery. Marboy. Good to see him and Saint back in the team for this Phoenix side. Didn't really miss him last week, in fairness. In behind, Margarita cutting back for nobody. It was a beautiful ball from Avievu to Margarita. He wanted Sacco at the 18-yard box, and Sacco wasn't there. And Phoenix fouled Detroit. As Detroit City were torn open for a moment, only for Phoenix not to be on the same page.
Phoenix side sort of taking a page out of Detroit's book when it comes to just final third miscommunication. What a beautiful move, a great first touch from Margot on that right side for absolutely no one. And that's exactly what you can't have happen when you know that this is a Detroit team that's going to hold the ball and try to capitalize on your mistakes, and they're not going to give you any rope unless you fight for it. And then you have an opportunity and nobody's home, not even a chance to put one up near the net.
25th minute of a scoreless game that's seen two official shots. Touch for Bryant. Reese Williams and Bryant again. Ryan Williams now, center of the park for Detroit. Wide he goes for Devin Amu Mensah. On the left, heels on the touchline now for Villanueva. Cutting in, teeing off, Williams. Can't even say R. Williams. Disappointment. Why would we recruit guys like that?
This feels like this midfield of Detroit is just finding every space possible.
Yes. Bryant could not find any more though. Cut off by Akello, back for Quayshow. Saint under pressure, backwards he goes. And three white shirts that converged on Carl Saint in the center of the park. He's got it again, bad pass Quayshow, Saint cleans it up. Marboy looking for room in his own half, nodding along Margarita and finding Avievu. Good first touch from Hope Avievu, driving in towards the box, in space for Isan Sacco. Stripped to the frame, wide right. again clinical on the counter, but Phoenix can't quite convert.
Yeah, it's Hope Abiyevu's technical ability that gets him by his defender, manages to blow by one, gets in front, lays off for Sacco. Sacco probably a little too far to really take that shot, but has proven ability, has a strong strike off that right foot, sent it up and over. It was closer than the last time one went over the crossbar. And that was Detroit's shot that wasn't counted as a shot.
Detroit restart play with a goal kick. Phoenix have had more success on the counter than a Detroit team who likes to counter themselves. Mahirson Hassan's down on the touchline.
Yeah, and some of that has to just center around the weather we've seen so far in Phoenix. Again, temperatures reaching 100 degrees today. Overall, a little bit cooler right now, Ryan, but overall, this is a Phoenix team that's trying to counter and trying to catch Detroit out. And Detroit tried to really work on transition and training, especially knowing the weather that they're going to face tonight.
Highlighter, thanks. Appreciate your time. Kevin, both these teams, according to me here at least, don't want the ball. You can't really play without the ball.
I mean, I think that Detroit definitely wants the ball. We've noted it. They've just found the open space in that midfield time and time again. Noble, Hope, and Carl just playing so far off of each other, and the back line sitting so far back that Detroit's finding these pockets and pieces that are accessing channels that haven't been there in weeks past, and you can see it happening again.
Brian, a good line, splitting ball to Adebayo Smith, nodded along Cedeno, and back for Ryan Williams. I think he's the better of the two Williams.
I would agree.
I like his name more. Dropped back, Jay Chapman, zone 14, will strike one high and over the bar. Never really had a chance, did Jay Chapman. Too many bodies in front. He had to go high and long. It was always rising, 28th minute, 0-0.
If this was Gaelic football, there would be points scored. That would go into the uprights over 3 times now. 1 for Sacco, 2 for Detroit. Still nothing towards the net. Playing the wrong kind of football stateside.
You think the folks at home know anything or have seen anything of Gaelic football before?
Just know you can pick up the ball.
Phoenix with it. They don't pick it up. Okello has it at his feet. Abievu, Quayshow, left side on the touchline, taken down from behind. That was a hard one through the backside of Quayshow.
It's the exact same spot. He took a hard foul at home against Rhode Island that sent him off the pitch. He's going to get up and walk this one off. Every time Quayshow goes to the grass, you can tell the crowd gets a little tense. He's so important, and he struggled to stay available at times with his tenure in Phoenix.
Pamadou Ka, Phoenix manager, clipboard in hand, barking orders to the big Noble Okello. Phoenix have yet to restart play in this one against Detroit. 4th in the East versus 10th in the West at the beginning of this match week 6 in the championship. Abievu back for Montgomery. Tough room. Montgomery swivels beyond. Finds the feet of Quayshow. In trouble. Back to goal. He's fouled. Ripped through on the shirt. And Quayshow plays quickly. Ball was moving, says the referee. Phoenix side that have featured 5 different starting 11s through the first 5 games coming into this one. This will be the 6th. Have yet to find too much consistency. Detroit has played the same 11 on 4 different occasions this year. Quayshow, Saint, Sturdy, backwards, Braxton Montgomery. Henry, Montgomery out of his frame. So much room for Quayshow, who got the ball on the wrong foot, didn't want it there. Quayshow urging onward, switching play, left to right. This one will hop and go out of touch. It was nowhere near Colin Smith.
That's the same exact ball that Quayshow played to get the we'll call it a half-court buzzer beater in El Paso that Traore got off the rebound, but it's that long over-switching ball that he can find more times than he can't. That one falls a little short, but when Quayshow notices that he can break not 1, not 2, but 3 lines all in once and go up and over the top, he will. And when he connects, it's devastating. Hydration break now.
Yeah, we'll stop this surefire snoozer for a moment. 30 minutes in of a scoreless game that's seen 2 shots. They'll get some water.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, it's like a little deja vu to last week. We went through 45, sort of sleepwalking, especially if you're a Rising fan. Not a lot going on. This one through 30, not a lot going on. Shots up and over the crossbar, nothing towards the goalkeeper. So you got at least 2 guys on the pitch of the 22 who haven't done much.
This does create a tactical battle, though, between two certified very good coaches, Danny Dicio for Detroit and Pamadou Ka, who play quite different systems. They're trying to feel each other out.
Yeah, and Pa's been really, really good at halftime adjustments. He's 15 minutes away from going into his zone where he's made the right change, it feels like time and time again, whether it's switching into a back three on the chase, or it's been moving up his formation to the midfield, or making substitutions 5 minutes in that changes front. At one point, he went to basically a front four with like a double winger and a double striker look, and it was really, really impressive. It's those moves that he's able to make when he goes over after the first 45 that let him be dynamic, but they need to survive the next 15 against a Detroit team that's still, I'd say, the aggressor.
Not too much going for that French pair of Isan Sako and Remy Cabral up front for Phoenix.
Well, they can't do much if you can't find them, and Rising haven't really been active enough in the final third to warrant anything. When it has been the final third, it's been the solo brilliance of Hope Avayevu connecting with Joel Margarita more often than not. Joel's been the one to dribble, Hope's been the one to find on the counter. Isan Sako and Remy sort of floating around, both on the chase defensively, neither doing enough to really connect. And when Sako's number was called from Joel on a cross over the box, he wasn't home.
One touch for Cabral through the opening half an hour. 12 for Avayevu, 12 for Sako for Detroit. Their number 9, Jordan Adebayo-Smith, has just 9 touches. Connor Rutz, his partner up front, has 7. It's been a game that's been made in the midfield so far with very little creativity to it. As we get the players back on the pitch in the 32nd.
I think it's important to note, Sako, through the last 2 matches, has had the least touches or has been tied to of any outfield player in the match for 2 in a row. It's sort of his game to be sort of up and distant, trying to find his moment to break free and find that contribution, but through the first 30, I'd argue he hasn't done enough regardless.
We will restart play with a Detroit throw, left side. They go backwards for Amu Mensah. Touch for Bryant. Defended by Sako all the way in the center circle. Wide for Villanueva, 33rd. Rolling forward is Alex Villanueva. On his right foot, his weaker foot. He drives a diagonal. Down for Reese Williams, the key creator for Detroit. And now Jay Chapman, backwards. That's where this game's gone.
Backwards is one way to put it, Ryan. I think we didn't really touch on it, but a hydration break kind of offers that tactical battle that you don't really see in a sport that has no timeouts. That's the timeout that you never get.
Ball in behind, Adebayo-Smith took a heavy touch. Chased down by Quayshow, cleared away by Montgomery. Avayevu through the air, couldn't keep it close. Throw in Detroit, right side. Again, 2 teams that like to make these tactical adjustments, 2 coaches that fancy themselves as in-game maestros. Phoenix looking for more from its side as the away end, the traveling support of the northern Detroit City side. Into the box, knotted down, Montgomery sweeps. Avayevu in his own box and back for Smith and Avayevu again. Good triangulation for Phoenix Rising. Back they go, Marboy. I count 20, 30 folks here from the Northern Guard of Le Rouge, Detroit City.
I think it might be the most that we've seen from an away crowd so far.
So far this season, yeah. Tulsa didn't travel too well in terms of the Phoenix Rising away game.
I don't think I saw a single Rhode Island fan.
Hard to make it.
It's a long trip. But Detroit is too.
Long ball over the top, Smith, searching run, Avayevu, swept up by Carlos Herrera. 35th, 10 minutes from time plus stoppage in this first half. This may be an even quieter first half than both these teams played in last week.
We might have taken last first half for granted, Ryan. There's a chance.
Well, Detroit and Monterey played to, again, a 0-0 draw. We talked about it at the top. There have not been many of those in the championship this year. Quayshow running towards the ball, and he slipped under his foot. It's a mistake from Emil Quayshow. Middle of the park, Ryan Williams. Good teasing ball in behind, cut off by Montgomery. He can't connect with Cabral. And it's won back by Detroit. Barrels at the feet of Michael Bryant. And Reese Williams. And Adebayo-Smith lost it at his feet.
It's hypocritical for me to say, Ryan, because I criticized it in San Antonio and I criticized it against Rhode Island, but at a certain point, when do you ask Tristan to start trying to find that long ball over the top rather than a slow build through the back? When do you just try to make the moment happen yourself?
This is coming from Kevin Cardez, who is the king of don't play it long. Ball over the top.
Well, they don't win
Cabral. They don't win that one. Cleared away Williams. Okello does win that one out of the air. Second ball Bryant, third by Detroit. And they possess. Chapman Urged along, Reese Williams in behind Saint, but not behind Quayshow. Saint, Margarita. Juro Margarita scored the second, the winner in San Antonio. Driving in behind, Margarita turning for Sacco. Wide for Colin Smith in the 18. Smith searching, has to lay it back for Avievu. Man on the ground for Phoenix. Ball put out and over for a rising corner kick. There were plenty of bodies, Sacco and Cabral in the box, and a rising man writhing in pain down on the ground just outside the 18. Juro Margarita back to his feet, a conversation with the referee in the 37th.
I was really unsure of what happened there. I didn't see Juro go down, but I noticed him in a heap when it all cleared up. They finally win a corner kick, and now an opportunity to strike on a set piece, which they've been better at this year than they were last.
Quayshow will take it with his left. He's supported by Margarita. Two men at the corner, one man in the 6 is Sacco. Evens between these two teams, red and white. In swung ball from the left foot of Emil Quayshow, Phoenix's left back. 37th, driven ball, back post, up for Popmore, boy! Wide it went of the second post. Goal kick, Detroit. Might be the closest Phoenix Rising have come to a set piece goal in 2025.
They scored off one in El Paso.
It's true, Okello rose high. I don't count penalty kicks, even though they are technically set pieces. They feel independent of that to me.
They do.
Williams stings one low on the ground, a daisy cutter, Villanueva. Amu Mensah back amongst the team. He missed the first couple of games, has played the full 90 in each of the last two. A long-time Detroit veteran who signed a contract in the offseason, a 2-year deal. They sign more multi-year deals than most teams do in the championship, does Detroit. Great culture in Michigan.
Is it just an East Coast team thing? Because so does Rhode Island. The two notable examples.
Well, Rhode Island, another side who could be described as having a very strong culture early on in their club's tenure. It's a Detroit team that's been through it all. NISA, NPSL, the runners of the championship, a playoff team last year, a home playoff team a season ago, the third best team in the Eastern Conference. Quayshow down the line, Margarita lifts one high to the back post, nobody there. Probably mishit that one.
Well, I thought Michael Bryant closed brilliantly. He did enough to not draw any contact, but he just absolutely shut off the angle that Marga had for a split second. I don't think that Margarita could have gotten there to actually fire off that cross in time, but Bryant closed off any chance that there was if he did get there.
A player you really love, Michael Bryant, the number 12 for Detroit City. You think he's one of the more underrated folks in the championship.
Yeah, I think that this, Detroit makes its living on defense. Michael Bryant sets the tone defensively for them, and he's better because of it. He's that guy that really directs that back line, although not wearing the armband tonight. He, to me, is the captain of the defense, and he's shown it so far.
Montgomery a touch for Phoenix, center circle for Quayshow, 39th, 0-0. Margarita just behind him. Margarita trying to turn, lost the ball, trying to get it again, and does. Into the half space, left side Margarita, Avievu, and then Quayshow. Everybody in red in the attacking half. Quayshow, Okello, one-touch stuff. Phoenix flip it backwards, though. Marboy. Saint. Marboy. Once again, Detroit sat defensively deep, shunting any Phoenix success. Marga. Okello. Avievu. In a polite way, we've called it lacking of anything, but maybe a patient game. Smith, and cleared by Carroll. All the way back for Henry to chase it down from his goal mouth.
Well, breaking down that 5-4-1, that signature formation in defense of Detroit is just so difficult. Rising couldn't do it when Tulsa sat in that mid-block and didn't even let them access the final third. Detroit a little more apt to let them hit that final third, but still snuff out anything that comes their way.
Avievu, a touch, defended well. Avievu pivots away and is fouled by Jay Chapman. Again, on the history of Detroit, it's something that's really been apropos of them over the last couple of years in the championship. They were defensive right from the jump in the 2020s with Trevor James, who's now their sporting director, was their longtime coach, even going back to the semi-pro days. Stepped up with them into the professional ranks. DiCio's come in and turned them into a playoff team. Margarita, Quayshow staying over the free kick, 35 yards out. It's a crossing ball. Quayshow will serve, headed away by Detroit Into the sky, Avievu, knotted along. Remy Cabral well away from goal. Looking to knot along for Avievu. He does. Back post, drive in. Herrera high points. The goalkeeper for Detroit claims in the 41st. Stop me if you've heard it before, Kev. Still 0-0.
Still 0-0. You hit on that Detroit history and sort of like who they've made themselves, what they've done to get to this point. And over the last 12 months, they've sort of solidified into making that identity a successful one.
Sure.
They lost in the first round 1-1 against Tampa Bay on penalties in the first round of the playoffs last year, but it was their first real showing of what they're supposed to be. Outside of that, they've only ever reached the second round once. They lost in the first round against Memphis 3-1. 2 years ago, they lose in the second round 4-0 to Lou just a year ago. But finally, that Tampa Bay game really a showing of who they are. They almost got a win out of it, but they lose in penalties.
Saint does well, finds Akello, who switches play for Quayshow. Left side, Margarita in the attacking third. Dances to his left, crossing at the byline. Back post for Smith! Colin Smith! Knots one home inside the 6, and Phoenix have found the back of the net first.
It all starts off of the foot and the service of Gerald Margarita. What a beautiful cross, finds the forehead. Anyone could have been there, and Colin Smith is the one who claims the goal right off the forehead. Not a chance for Herrera. Detroit City finally concede one. Margarita starts it from the back.
Crucially, Rising find the back of the net first, and it's the first goal of the year for Colin Smith. He's played every minute for Phoenix to start this season, and the 21-year-old Texan strikes for Phoenix Rising, 1-0.
And if you were to ask either of us, Ryan, I think that we would have answered a header. If you were to ask, hey, how is Colin Smith going to score that next goal?
Back post, header,
Back
service.
post, header, yeah. Off the right side, yeah, of course.
Hammering home, and we're back underway. 1-0 Rising. Detroit have to chase. This is the ideal scenario for Phoenix, who love to counter. Detroit loves to have the lead. Wide for Reese Williams. On the right side, looking for room. Finding Chapman in the corner, crossing low. Touchdown by Saint, and Marboy clears. So last week in San Antonio, Phoenix scored and conceded 5 minutes later, yes, but conceded a penalty mere 90 seconds after their goal found the back of the net. Can they defend with a little more sure-handedness after their goal today? Over the top for Adebayo Smith. Cleaned up by Pop Marboy. Middle of the park for Carl Saint. Up over the top, Isan Sako off his chest. Grabbed by Amu Mensah. Detroit will throw.
You could argue it's a taller task too, Ryan.
There's a little mess for the ball, and now a coming together between the feisty Sako and the elder statesman Amu Mensah. It's a tougher task. Why so?
Well, last time they conceded in 90 seconds. This time they have to defend for 120 before getting to break. So you could argue you got a little more on the plate and see if this time they can defend for 30 seconds longer than they did concede just a week ago.
Long talking to with Isan Sako and Natalie Simon. The referee again working her 34th USL Championship contest. A FIFA referee can do international matches. The first ever African-American woman to receive her FIFA badge. Throwing for Detroit after all that. They're into the 45th minute. Colin Smith from Gerald Margarita. Cabral a touch. Back for Avievu in the middle of the park, and whip wide for Quayshow. Akello kind of ran into the back two off the ball. Avievu and Quayshow again. Margarita hustling, and backwards he goes. We'll see how much stoppage time we get. Avievu, there surely can't be much in this half.
Give me 2. I think 2.
I think 2 could be high. I'll take the 1.
Wow. And we both lose.
3. 3 minutes of stoppage time, so we'll play till at least the 48th. There's another foul. Phoenix had the ball in the attacking half of the pitch. Amu Mensah brought the man down. May have been Colin Smith. was not. It was Isan Sako. Smith was in the area. Meanwhile, 60 seconds have elapsed beyond the 45. Back Phoenix goes on the reset. They did it too quickly. Natalie Simon wasn't ready.
We may play into the 49th.
Probably at this point. Smith plays it backwards for Marboy, and we are finally restarting play. Montgomery on the ball for Rising. Quayshow looking, no help. Rutz pressuring. Back into the 18 for Henry, who's got to find a way to corral it. Does a good job. Marboy slipping, driving a ball in behind. Sako nodding down. Smith slipped. Akello grabbed, rifles the ball over the top, over the touchline for a Detroit throw.
Now you just get the feeling that Rising need to survive this extra time, walk into halftime with their heads held high for the first time in a long time, and scheme out, do we want to find a second, or are we just content with one? Detroit has more questions than that.
Dangerous ball from Amu Mensah, picked up by Bryant in his own half. He's fouled by Akello. Referee will play advantage. Amu Mensah in trouble. Sako blocking. Ball still in play. Amu Mensah finds the feet of Cedeno. And now Williams. On the right side they search. Making the run is Cedeno. And whipped wide for Williams. Reese Williams on the right. Heels on the touchline. Cutting in to beat Quayshow. Williams to the box. Bounces around kindly for Rutz. Still around. Not cleared. This will fall for Williams, who strikes one over the bar. A half chance again for Detroit, created by their chaos.
Another Gaelic football point. We're racking them up. Right up and over the bar. Detroit had an opportunity inside. There was some contact right in front of the mouth of the net, but not enough to warrant anything from the referee, not even a foul or a wave off. Instead, they let it play on. Another shot over the top of the crossbar, and you said it best, Ryan, another half chance for Detroit. No true chance so far.
48th minute, we'll see how much more we play. Akello over the top, wanted Quayshow, turned over, throw in Detroit. Bryant will take his time to get it in, and we will not get any more than that. Halftime at 38th in Washington. A goal for Colin Smith, the first in his USL career. That's the difference right now. 1-0 to Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, maybe we expected this first 45. Not the most entertaining first 45 outside of that goal. There wasn't a lot to watch for, just two teams trying to stalemate each other. Detroit so happy and okay with just sitting on their back heels and waiting for you to mess up, and until then, they're just going to thwart you over and over. Rising not as content. They find their goal. What do they do in the last 45?
The home side capitalized first. Le Rouge left to chase and change. This is a 1-0 game after 45 minutes at 38th and Washington. Phoenix 1, Detroit 0. We'll step aside for the Rising Radio halftime report after this.
Uzuchukwu's in. Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL champions.
Bliss and a burst of red smoke. Phoenix Rising, our home. Welcome to 38th in Washington.
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
Buying a house can seem almost impossible, especially today. But with the right agent in your corner, it makes the challenge seem effortless. Hi, I'm Connor Cochran with Good Oak Real Estate, your go-to agent in the Valley. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Because finding the perfect home shouldn't be stressful, it should be exciting. Call 480-688-3200 today. Again, that's 480-688-3200. Let's have the conversation.
An early start for ASU baseball this Sunday on KDUS AM 1060. Join the Sun Devils as they look to end their weekend series with a win against the Bearcats. ASU is ready to prove their talents in the diamond and stand tall against all of their Big 12 opponents. The voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy, will have the call live from Ohio. It's ASU versus Cincinnati, pregame at 9:45 a.m. and first pitch at 10 on KDUS AM 1060 and KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils. Monday morning ASU baseball over on KAZG 1440. The Sun Devils make the way over to Indiana after wrapping up their weekend against Cincinnati to take on Purdue. Join the Sun Devils as they look to start their week on the diamond on a high note. It's Tim Healy on the live call. ASU baseball versus Purdue. Pregame starts bright and early at 9:45 a.m. and first pitch at 10 a.m. over on KAZG 1440 and online at KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils.
The lunch break. If this team wants to go where they think they can go, deep in the playoffs, standing toe-to-toe, trading blows with the Dodgers, Zach Gallen might have to win a start in Dodger Stadium. Zach Gallen might have to go into Philadelphia, might have to go into New York, might have to go into Atlanta and win a road start for this team.
The lunch break, heard from 11 to 1 here on KDUS AM 1060 and the KDUS AM 1060 app.
You're listening to the Jim Rome Show.
Did the Mavericks raise ticket prices as soon as they saw Kyrie writhing on the floor in pain? Would not surprise me at all, given that's exactly what they did after they dealt Luka and before Kyrie went down. Never mind raising ticket prices. Now that Kyrie is lost for the year, why not just make it official and announce today that you're moving the franchise to Vegas? Trust me, nobody would be surprised.
You don't want to fly too close.
Now we go back to the field to break down the first half action with the Rising Radio halftime report on the Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
For the Rising Radio halftime report here on the Phoenix Rising Radio Network, Ryan Sikora, Kevin Cortez, Mahir Sinhasan taking you through a 1-0 Phoenix Rising lead on Sirius XM here tonight, as well as KDUS AM 1060. Mahir, I want to start with you. You've been down on the touchline for the duration of that first half, but it's a very calm Phoenix Rising team.
Yeah, most definitely is, Ryan. You know, even when they were defending and then they go out on the attack, there were multiple chances to really get that first goal before Colin Smith really broke the deadlock. And even though there were a lot of missed chances, there was still a calm presence within this team. You could feel it from the fans as well. This team was just waiting for that first goal. They weren't really frustrated. We've seen that at times, especially here at 38th and Washington. They've been overall calm, and they've been just working their way up the pitch to get the breakthrough.
Thanks, Mayor. Kev, you get the same sense up here. We called it stagnant. We called it patient throughout this first half. Both sides looking to break and capitalize on opportunities. Only one's been able to do it so far.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is that I don't know if that's the style that Rising wants to play. They were just sort of forced into it because of how Detroit plays. Normally, Rising also wants to have the lion's share of the ball. They want to control possession, and they want to do it on their own time, and they want to build through the back, and they want to be fluid on their own time, whereas Detroit is just so prone to sitting there and making you wait. Just wait. So Rising said, okay, and eventually they get their break, and they finally capitalize on a mistake. They had a few chances, like Mahir said. They got their opportunity, and they put it in. That's the difference, because it feels like in previous weeks, they've had opportunities early that they've missed and whiffed on or just been disconnected. Finally, they connect on their first big chance of the match, and it gives them an opportunity to build now out of the half.
Boy, and what a beautiful ball from Gerald Margarita as well. First assist since the Las Vegas game last September for this Phoenix Rising team. That was the last time Rising led it home in a game. It's been a long time for these fans to see something like this, and they've got a chance to now put it to bed in the second 45, Kevin.
Yeah, and it matters a lot. The Tulsa opener fell flat for a lot of reasons, but you wanted to win it because you wanted to win it in front of the crowd, right? You wanted to give the fans the opportunity to feel that energy. Instead, you fall 1-0 in a very flat home opener. Then against Rhode Island, you really ignited it, but you couldn't bring home the 3. At a certain point, you just need to win for the people in the seats, and it feels like they're pushing and they're getting closer to that. But now you have 45 minutes to stand between you and your first home win of the season and your first home win in a very long time. Can they do it? Do they have enough to do it? And do they deserve it? I think all of the above right now are yes, yes, and yes, but by the end we'll have a clear picture of what that really means.
And Mahir, bring you back in Detroit. You're getting a first-hand look at the energetic Danny Dicio, who's got choices to make at this halftime interval.
Yeah, he definitely does, and I think when you take a look at how this Detroit side has really functioned in this first half, they've really tried to keep that spine, the heart of that defense, and they've really spread out those right center backs, and then on the left side too with Amu Mensah. They're trying to drive it down the wings, and overall Phoenix Rising has been very disciplined, especially with Braxton Montgomery in the back. So DiGio is going to try to get some players in the midfield or even forward. Even an extra body can get to Detroit City FC a little bit more chaos in that attacking third and maybe get someone behind and in towards goal.
All right, guys, first half stats from this one here from 38th in Washington. 51% of the ball for Phoenix after Detroit had 93% of it the first 10 minutes. 4 shots for Rising, 3 for Le Rouge. The 1 shot on target, the 1 goal in this game comes from Phoenix. It was a big chance for Colin Smith to score his first ever USL goal. In terms of the other stuff, Phoenix has more passes. They've got a couple more touches in the opposition half, so it's fairly even. Detroit controlling the bulk of the touches in the opposition box and the final third. Entries, corners have been dominated by Detroit. The fouls, Phoenix seeing a couple more of those. We'll step aside. We'll come back. We'll break down the scores from around the league. Match week 6 in the USL Championship on the Rising Radio Halftime Report.
Suzuku's in. Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL Champions.
Bliss and a burst of red smoke. Phoenix Rising, our home. Welcome to 38th in Washington.
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
Buying a house can seem almost impossible, especially today. But with the right agent in your corner, it makes the challenge seem effortless. Hi, I'm Connor Cochran with Good Oak Real Estate, your go-to agent in the Valley. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Because finding the perfect home shouldn't be stressful, it should be exciting. Call 480-688-3200 today. Again, that's 480-688-3200. Let's have the conversation.
An early start for ASU baseball this Sunday on KDUS AM 1060. Join the Sun Devils as they look to end their weekend series with a win against the Bearcats. ASU is ready to prove their talents in the diamond and stand tall against all of their Big 12 opponents. The voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy, will have the call live from Ohio. It's ASU versus Cincinnati, pregame at 9:45 a.m. and first pitch at 10 on KDUS AM 1060 and KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils.
1, 2, 8.
Monday morning ASU baseball over on KAZG 1440. The Sun Devils make the way over to Indiana after wrapping up their weekend against Cincinnati to take on Purdue. Join the Sun Devils as they look to start their week on the diamond on a high note. It's Tim Healy on the live call. ASU baseball versus Purdue. Pregame starts bright and early at 9:45 a.m. and first pitch at 10 a.m. over on KAZG 1440 and online at KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils. You're listening to the Rising Radio Halftime Report on the Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
Back out of the break at 38th in Washington. Take you around the scores from the USL Championship. A 0-0 draw in Lexington as Las Vegas find a point against the Kentucky side. 2-1 Charleston Battery beat Pittsburgh Riverhounds. A goal from Aaron Malloy, and Cal Jennings continuing to score for Charleston Battery. Loudoun United are atop the East 6 weeks in to this USL Championship season. They beat a Tampa Bay Rowdies team who just fired their head coach, and it's another goal for Abdulatif Abukora, who is surely going to be one of the big sales some point this or next season for Phoenix Rising, Kevin.
Tampa Bay is doing some serious soul searching right now, firing their head coach just 5 weeks into the season, but Abdulatif Abukora might be the most in-form player in the entire championship, bar none, firing on all facets, scores the 69th minute penalty, and they are rolling. Loudoun is looking for that first ever playoff appearance in franchise history, and they're on the road to do it right now.
Ryan Martin has them really humming. Another goal for Woobens Pacius, by the way, for Tampa Bay in that loss. They'll look to hire their new head coach within the coming week. Oakland Roots get a 2-1 win on the road in Tulsa, which has been a tough place to play in 2025. Oakland gets its first win, jumps up to 4 points. Wolfgang Prentice, all-name team, scores a brace in that one. New Mexico United 1-0 over North Carolina FC at home. They just continue to collect points, does the Isotope Park side. And the big result of the day, probably goes to Miami FC, who had yet to win a game in the USL Championship this year. They get a 2-1 victory over San Antonio FC. It's back-to-back losses for SAFC.
Yeah, SAFC now trying to fight their way through their own slide. They start undefeated. The entire league has their eyes on them. They play on national TV, and then they lose to Rising, and now they lose to Miami. Where do you find the answer to stop your own slide? It's unsure, but San Antonio has to figure it out fast because now, you mentioned it, New Mexico just keeps collecting points over and over, result after result. It's what they did last year en route to the top of the table in the West. It's what they'll do again in 2025 to try to get back to the top of the table. They might not be the flashiest, but they do enough to collect result after result. San Antonio has to match that pace.
Still no Mitchell Tainter for San Antonio. Back-to-back games without their starting and star center back. Live scores right now at halftime, 1-1 in Monterey between Monterey Bay and Colorado Springs. A 1-0 Orange County lead over Sacramento. Ethan Zubak scoring the goal. Phoenix leads 1-0 here on Rising Radio, KDUS AM 1060 and Sirius XM. We'll step aside for 60 seconds. We'll come back. Second half from 38th in Washington.
Uzuchukwu's in. Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL champions.
Bliss and a burst of red smoke. Phoenix Rising, our home. Welcome to 38th in Washington.
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
Buying a house can seem almost impossible, especially today. But with the right agent in your corner, it makes the challenge seem effortless. Hi, I'm Connor Cochran with Good Oak Real Estate, your go-to agent in the Valley. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Because finding the perfect home shouldn't be stressful, it should be exciting. Call 480-688-3200 today. Again, that's 480-688-3200. Let's have the conversation.
An early start for ASU baseball this Sunday on KDUS AM 1060. Join the Sun Devils as they look to end their weekend series with a win against the Bearcats. ASU is ready to prove their talents in the diamond and stand tall against all of their Big 12 opponents. The voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy, will have the call live from Ohio. It's ASU versus Cincinnati, pregame at 9:45 a.m. and first pitch at 10 on KDUS AM 1060 and KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils.
Back for the second half from 38th in Washington. A 1-0 lead for Phoenix Rising at home, looking to collect back-to-back wins for the first time since October 12th, 2024. Phoenix could jump up to 8 points in the Western Conference with a result here against Detroit City, who they themselves are on 8 in the East. It's 1-0 at the break. Ryan Sikora and Kevin Cardez for the second 45 from 38th in Washington. We'll hear from Mahir Sinhasan in a moment. Phoenix will kick off as they switch sides and head towards the south end. A whistle from Natalie Simon, and Remy Cabral takes us to the second half. Back for Pop Marboy and into the Phoenician Knight. Chested down by Bryant of Detroit. And wide it goes for the right back, Reese Williams. Over the top, looking for the run of Adebayo Smith. And collected by Tristan Henry. It was a great late goal for Phoenix to get that 1-0 lead.
Yeah, I mean, you bag it in just in time to go to halftime with your head up, not feeling like that was an unproductive first half, and now you have an opportunity to build on a lead and find that second goal.
Phoenix in the attacking third. Wide space, Quayshow now tucking into the end line. Back for Margarita. Gerald Margarita dancing onto his right, stepping over, pirouetting back just outside the attacking third. Looking backwards for Quayshow, and further backward now for Hope Avievu. Avievu moves it along Akello, and now Braxton Montgomery. A touch for Pop Marboy, who's got to step into it. Saint, good patience from Phoenix, but turned over by Carl Saint. Won by Villanueva, looking over the top for the run. Cedeno chesting down, Yesiel Cedeno. Wide space now, left side, Chapman on his right, crossing. Back post. And no run from Reese Williams. It's a goal kick for Phoenix.
immediately Detroit, sort of shot out of a cannon, are on the attack, and that's the big change for them. You're on the chase. No longer can you sit on the back and wait for a mistake to come your way and sort of let the game fall into your hands. The game is firmly out of your hands. How do you grab it back? How do you fight your way back in? Scratch and claw. That's how you do it. Start fast, start strong, get over the top, and then try to score your goal.
In a search for a score, Montgomery for Rising. Marboy, over the top he goes. Is that one going to stay in touch? It will for Smith. Not it down for Sacco, who did not make the run in behind. Chapman a touch. No changes for either team at the break. You thought Detroit might bust one out to try and make something happen. They have really lacked goals as of late. They've moved to Jordan Adebayo Smith. They have Darren Smith on the bench, who's got a pair of goals through the early days of this championship season. Ben Morris, who most would argue is their best player in the attacking portion of the pitch, also on option for Danny Vicio. Ball in behind, Rutz coming back, picking it up. Good space now. Chapman searching ball wide for Williams. Not rewarding the run of Cedeno in the box. Williams taking the ground. A shot stings away for Adebayo Smith, who was offside. His rebound skyward, but it would not have counted even if he had struck the back of the net.
Don't make me say it again. It's another Gaelic football point. Up and over the crossbar, still not really finding anything on net. Although offsides, that's still something that you want to see at least sent towards the keeper. Instead, the flag goes up and the ball goes over, and there's no real positive for Detroit besides the fact that they got home.
Montgomery splitting a line. Cabral, barely a touch in the first half for Remy Cabral. This time he turns away and is fouled. It's Villanueva who commits the offense. Detroit did a thing that I wouldn't recommend for most of the championship. You always, if you want to be a contender, from my view, want to find a surefire goal scorer in this league. They did not find one of those. They brought in, it felt like 6 or 7 different guys, hoping that 2 or 3 of them could burst and score. That has not been the case through the first month and a half of the season for DCFC. Stuck in the corner. Margarita turns it off, but he found a Detroit defender, and now we've got a shove all the way on the far side of the pitch from our vantage. Tough to see who shoved, but Natalie Simon will sort it out. 49th, 1-0.
Now the emotions start to get a little higher for Detroit. Phoenix a little more confident, Detroit a little more panicked. Still looking for their first win since match week 2. And you can't do that when you're already down a goal. Ryan, Danny Dicchio's outfit, what do you think about the gray tee? First t-shirt I've seen so far in 2025.
It fits the personality, it fits the style, you know?
I agree.
Amu Mensah touch, defensive third, under hits a ball, well touched by Villanueva. Pressuring in spaces, Chapman, turning one down the line on the near side, the left side of Detroit's attack, and over the touchline for a throw. You hit it on the nail. Detroit took 6 points from its first 6 with wins over the Miami FC and the defending champions Colorado Springs. Since then, a draw 2-2 with Birmingham, who's been poor to start the year, a loss to a very good, always good Louisville, and a 0-0 draw in Monterrey. Detroit have it again on a goal kick. 50th. Amu Mensah strikes one high and long over the top. Henry will see it out. Rising goal kick.
Detroit would still be in the hunt for third place today if they notched 3 points.
It's too early in the year to be hunting for that stuff, in the words of Pamadou Ka.
You can hunt anytime.
It is an interesting thing, right? We talked about this in the build-up to this game, you and I, Kevin, as Phoenix restart play with a goal kick. In a league that has become more and often for every coach about performance and style of play, Detroit's decision to be a little more negative and hunt points is the right zag while everybody zigs. Detroit turn it over high. They drive into the box. A chance for Cedeno. It was wide of the mark. It was deflected away by Montgomery. Phoenix careless with the ball in the defensive third, and Detroit nearly capitalized.
Well, thank goodness for Braxton Montgomery. Just managed to nudge it wide, but that was about a foot away from being the equalizer in a competition where Detroit has not had a true chance.
That was Detroit's best chance of the evening. 52nd in swung now for Ryan Williams on his right. Drives one nice and hard into the 6, bouncing around. Falls kindly for Amu Mensah. Top of the box, Cedeno. Slipping away from Margarita, who fouled Yesiel Cedeno. It's a free kick for Detroit in a dangerous space.
That gas pedal further pressed down. And it's a question we asked last week, Ryan. Can you survive the barrage? Can you get through that burst of life that goes from a team that's already down? And Phoenix did it. They scored that second goal, went up 2-1 on the road against the top team in the West, and they survived that barrage down the stretch for about 25 minutes. Can they do it here at home against a fantastic Eastern Conference side in Detroit?
Free kick, 23, maybe 24 yards away from Tristan Henry's goal mouth. A 1-0 lead for Phoenix Rising in the 53rd. The left foot of Alex Villanueva favored here on the right side, maybe 20 paces in from the touchline. A 5-man wall for Phoenix. Aveyevu, Margarita, Cabral, Okello, Sacco. Villanueva will strike it high and well over the bar. Mishit it by a country mile.
That's one way to survive it. As you don't have to do anything there. Ball goes up and over the crossbar again. Common trend so far for Detroit. Can't exactly find the nylon, whether it's towards it or actually making it through the mouth of the goal.
Gift given by the left back. Marboy wrestles his way beyond the pressure of Adebayo Smith. Pop Marboy splits a line. Smith, Cabral. It took a deflection off Remy's backside and collected by Carlos Herrera, the goalkeeper for Detroit.
You mentioned zigging while everyone zags, Ryan. The reason why they collect points is pretty simple. 15 points for Loudoun, who lead the East. That's a 13-point separation through 6 weeks from first and 11th, second to last.
Aveyevu wide. Sacco dancing, driving on his right. Sacco laying along for Smith. Cleared away by Detroit for a throw. It's more so even the stylistic sense that Detroit provides. Everybody wants to keep the ball more and more nowadays, and while Detroit does that, they are very comfortable dropping in, sitting, being negative. You put it perfectly, I thought, in the pregame show. Catenaccio, the Italian defensive shape, rising to throw, attacking third.
Winning at all costs.
It's all that matters in the professional game. Smith taking a ground, that's a foul. 10 out of 10 times, Cedeno stripped Smith of the ball and took him out with his legs. The goal scorer, Colin Smith, first career goal in the championship for a player that spent most of the last 4 years there. Quite the feat for the former North Texas SC and MLS FC Dallas man. Marboy wanted deep for Phoenix, didn't have a runner. Amu Mensah cleans it up for Le Rouge in the away strip, the red. You know, I learned today in various European countries, which America is not, that is often referred to as the change strip. Because it's a change from your normal home kit, you know? Doesn't that make so much sense?
I mean, yeah, sure.
Ball over the top. Montgomery touches it down for Saint. That's clean. And Saint gives it away. Quaisho can't defend. It's a chance to strike. And it's stung towards the shape of Tristan Henry, who makes a save. Another giveaway, though, for Phoenix, 56th. Margarita dances beyond the defender and ran right into the middle before losing it. Too heavy a touch from Gerald Margarita. Detroit the other direction. A chance for Williams. Reese Williams looking for room, nods along. Chapman searching for space, can't find it. Pushes wide. Opportunity to cross. Marboy heads away. And Saint in his own 18. Quaisho. Aveyevu turning away into trouble, but he's fouled.
You just want Carl to be crisper. It's the second giveaway in the second half alone for Saint, and it feels like he's just not on the same page as anyone else, but it's those balls that he leaves short that you just want to be there. If that ball is connected, we don't have any of that traffic in the box, none of the contact, you don't have the foul, you get to break out on the counter. Instead, it all gets stagnated, and then Detroit has a chance to break on their own.
Sweet, sweet move, though, from Gerald Margarita that predated that. 2 changes for Phoenix just shy of the hour mark. Braxton Montgomery sacrificed for Rising. JP Skiers has come into the game for Phoenix in the middle of the park for Noble Okello, and a first appearance in Rising Red for Casey Walls, the 6'2", 22-year-old Englishman, a one-time man for San Jose in MLS and the Town FC, their next pro affiliate. He's been dealing with injuries over the past couple of years. He makes his first appearance for Phoenix Rising on the left side of the defense. Immediately, Detroit challenging him, dribbling beyond. Avievu won well to defend. On by Quayshow, back for Avievu, and now for Saint. A searching ball wide right for Smith, who got there first. Colin Smith touches wide, playing with full confidence into an area for Sacco, taking the ground, no foul. 58th Detroit, pivoting. Williams, that's Ryan. He's muscled down by Sacco. Immediately back into the trouble. And Mike Bryant. Cedeno ripped through, a foul by Saint. Scram ever growing in its tenseness. 58th, 1-0.
Detroit so much more frantic now. It feels like they're flying around the pitch on attack, which was the exact opposite of what they were in the first. They know that they're on the chase, and slowly as time dwindles, it gets a little more dire.
Adebayo Smith for Detroit on the left side, cutting onto his right foot just outside the 18. Flipping to the right side, a touch for Reese Williams, a good first touch. Jay Chapman can strike off the bar, off the top end. A half chance nearly finds the back of the net for Jay Chapman of Detroit. It's out for a Phoenix goal kick and 2 changes for Le Rouge to come. So they will make the second move. It's Darren Smith, their leading goal scorer, on for Jordan Adebayo Smith in the 59th. Striker for striker, and Connor Rutz, the other attacking player for Danny Dischio, will be sacrificed as well here, Kevin Cardes. It's Ben Morris.
Ben Morris wants a little better start to this year in the championship. This is going to be his chance. Can you be a hero? It's a question that they'll ask him.
He's been their primary man up front. Smith and Morris, the traditional front two. Amu Mensah rips Avievu to the ground in a tussle. It's a Phoenix free kick. Ben Morris scored against this Phoenix Rising team last year. 9th minute goal at Hamtramck. What a stadium. One of the great facilities in the championship that Detroit City calls home. If you can make it, you should go. 9th minute goal from Ben Morris in a 1-1 draw between Detroit and Phoenix last year in Michigan. Scored it from 40 yards out. Ball on the ground. Henry finds the feet of Quayshow. Other way, Quayshow looking for room, cuts in onto his right, finding Avievu, left side for Phoenix. Hour mark now. And here we go, Margarita once again to dribble. Jiro Margarita back for Hope Avievu. Looking to create his Quayshow on it, can't turn his defender. Backwards he goes, and a touch for Casey Walls. Marboy, Smith turning, trying to keep it in touch. Does well. Amu Mensah won it back. Sacco collecting. And a foul from Isan Nino Sacco of Phoenix.
I thought Sacco got ripped down there, but there's jarring contact both ways. Both guys grabbing a little bit of jersey. At some point, somebody's going to pick up the foul. Sacco's not happy about it. He'll let everyone hear. It doesn't matter, though.
Center space, Williams, Bryant inviting pressure. Slipping is the goalkeeper Herrera, nearly got there, and now Herrera clears. It seemed a calm bit of build from Detroit, but Herrera slipped, Cabral jumped, and Herrera clutched his pearls and got there second, but won enough to clear. That's what Detroit can't afford to do, make mistakes in this kind of game, down a goal. Margarita dancing, no run. Clearing is Detroit. Marboy heads it down. Saint, Skiers played well. Played the full 90 in the win against San Antonio, did JP Skiers. Sacco, Smith, all the way back for Tristan Henry. So Phoenix now with slightly more possession, 53%. And Rising make a mistake, and here's Ben Morris to sting one. It took a deflection off the side of Casey Walls. Skier's defensively strong, did not quite play the full 90. Will walk that one back against San Antonio, but gave a great 75 minutes for Phoenix Rising in what was its first win of this 2025 season. Covered well for the teenager Braxton Montgomery. Detroit corner, far side, in swinging ball to come with the left foot. 62nd minute of a 1-0 game. They've got all the big boys of their back three up there. Bryant, Amumensa, and the captain Stephen Carroll. Defended well by Remy Cabral. Swung in by Cedeno, headed away by Walls. Only as far though as Chapman. Williams now has it, wide against Cedeno. Swings one up towards the back post over everyone's head. Henry had it covered. And it's a Phoenix goal kick to come.
Now Phoenix trying to withstand this shot in the arm that Detroit has put in to the attack. You talk about Ben Morris. He sort of has that Isan Sako aura when you look at the scouting report, guy who went over and played in high-level European football overseas. His experience, not in France, instead with Ipswich Town in the EFL Championship, one of the pinnacles of footballing. And now he ends up here at just 25 years old. He's already scored this year.
Ball back, feet, Villanueva. Williams, Amumensa. There's plenty of Englishmen in this Detroit team. We mentioned the Canadians earlier. One of them is Ryan Williams, who has a cap for England, not the full national team, the futsal team. The England futsal team. Kevin, could you make that team? No.
I'm busy that day.
No is the answer.
And I have a stomachache.
There are players who play for England's full national team who could not make the England futsal national team. I am certain of that. It is so hard. Ball over the top from a Detroit defender. Finds the chest of Tristan Henry. You want to get good, you play futsal. If you can't find a favela in Brazil, you find a cage in a gym, and you play in the tight confines.
They've turned them all into pickleball courts now, Ryan, and
This
I
is
don't
true.
think I could find that.
I do play my fair share of pickleball. I got a match tomorrow, actually. 9 a.m. sharp. You gonna be there? You
No.
busy that day too?
I got a haircut that day. Man, sorry.
Saint, wide left. Margarita, 64th, driving towards the box. Margarita crossing in, headed away by Bryant. It's going to be staying in play, and now off the arm of a Detroit defender for a Phoenix throw. Again, that's Ryan Williams, not Reese Williams, who played professional futsal. Avievu, this is a good incisive ball from Quaisho. Avievu to the back post for Smith again, now Sako. And it's out for a corner. Isan Sako went up to rise for it. Last touched off of Alex Villanueva, and Phoenix will have a corner kick. It will be their second. Front of the south end, 25 minutes to play. Emil Quaisho's looking for room to take one. He's supported by Margarita. He will go short. Margarita, something from the training ground. Smith late to react. He strikes one low. It's blocked away. Cleared by Detroit, only as far again for Colin Smith in the center circle. Avievu, Saint, Smith, turns. Could not quite get a touch on it. Looking, but has to go backward again. Henry, skyward. Well wide of the mark, throw in Detroit. Alex Villanueva will drop it back to Devin Amumensa on what is international night for this Phoenix Rising team. Our home game is Potmore Boy, the Senegalese clears. Corralled by Chapman. Smith heads along. Cabral won it high. Cabral goes for goal, it's well wide. He turned and volleyed one on the half stern. Could not quite connect. He's the Frenchman. Mahir Sinhasan has more on international night.
Yeah, Ryan, a lot of festivities for International Night here at 38th and Washington. Pre-game festivities, including food trucks across the venue and players having their flags in their respective countries in the lead up to the national anthem. Few fans also supporting some Argentina jerseys. They're wearing the La Albiceleste kits that are seen by Argentina's national team. I don't know if it's a correlation, if you will, to International Night, but nonetheless kind of a good pickup and maybe a little bit of support for Emil Cuello, the Argentina native for Phoenix Rising.
67th minute, Mahir. Are they Messi kids? Do they
saw
think Miami's in town?
I saw one Messi kid. But
Miami FC.
That happened a couple of times last year, Mahir, when Phoenix hosted Miami FC. Thank you for your time down there on the touchline. Cutting in is Villanueva on his right foot. Skyward it goes, well over and well wide. The Miami FC was in town, and there was quite a good bulk of folks in the crowd for Phoenix and Miami that were wearing Argentina kits to watch Dalton Knutson play. He is not Lionel Messi.
They call him the Messi of the championship, some say.
Dalton Knutson, he scored today. Scored the first for Miami in their 2-1 win. Henry clears for Phoenix. 2/3 of this game's been played. Over the top, Sacco couldn't collect. Middle of the park, Williams skipped the line, cut off Hope Avievu. Now Carl Fred Saint, the Haitian international. Gerald Margarita dancing and has to go backwards. Not only is he a Curacao man, Gerald Margarita, but quite the player, one of their best. Scored 4 goals back in the offseason for Curacao in a Nations League qualifier, I believe it was.
It was on the road to Gold Cup, I believe.
They're all the same nowadays. Smith, a touch, was poor. Flicked along by Villanueva, out for a Phoenix throw.
A thought just struck me, Ryan. Talk about
the first time ever?
Yeah. Talk about, you know, Daniel over in Miami scoring that goal. Maybe he's not called the Messi of USL, but how many goals did Messi score in the championship today?
Goose egg on both your point and Messi's number. Fouling in the middle of the park, Avievu brings the Detroit man to the ground. That's an easy free kick. I wonder if Messi scored in MLS today.
If he didn't, I'm starting a narrative.
I don't like this narrative, unfortunately. It does appear Miami did not play today, so Messi did not score today. They've got a Sunday matinee with Chicago Fire tomorrow. The Fighting Greg Berhalters, by the way. Yeah. 53% of the ball for Phoenix. This has been a long restart to get Damian Tico Rivera on the pitch. He will replace Gerald Margarita, who has the assist for Phoenix, his first since last September against Las Vegas for Rising.
Sort of a one-for-one switch, Ryan. I was just about to bring up the fact that Detroit's been so stagnant because they only have one dribble, one recorded dribble by the statisticians tonight for Detroit, not getting by anyone on their own. Phoenix has 8, and then you add Damian onto the pitch, one of the best in the entire championship with dribble success.
Yep.
Just a fantastic dribbler on the ball, so technical, and he replaces probably the most technical player on the pitch in Gerald.
Goal kick for Phoenix is restarted. Rivera is 4th in the USL Championship in dribbles per 90 with 2.6. Margarita is 3rd with 3.0. Again, you said Detroit has just 1?
Just 1.
I think Margarita probably has, off the eye test, 5 or 6.
He's 5 for 6 on the night, 83%.
Change for Detroit. Maury Donor will come in. The bald-headed brilliance of the Canadian Maury Donor, who nabbed his first full 90 of the season last week against his former club, Monterey Bay. He is the man who's played the most minutes of any field player the last couple of years. In behind for Phoenix, Darius Johnson, who's a new substitute in. It cradles off the post. Still alive for Rising. Johnson for Avievu! It's 2! They hoped for a second, and they have it! On the counter they went. Darius Johnson struck the post, and Hope Avievu hounded at the top of the 18, finds the bottom right corner at 38th in Washington. 2-0 Rising, 72nd.
And Hope just seems to be at the right place at the right time and time again. In Rhode Island, he caught it off the rebound and net the second en route to a point against one of the best teams in the East on paper. This time, Darius carries it all the way down into the box and stings it off of the woodwork, catches everyone off their line. This time, Hope there to clean it up with a much more important and precision-based finish. What a shot, what a goal for Hope.
A crucial second for Phoenix Rising as they search for consecutive wins in the championship. Ball over the top from Detroit. Darren Smith can't find it. Phoenix, who were winless from its opening 4, trying to find back-to-back wins for the first time since October of last year. They beat New Mexico and Oakland on the road. Rising 2 goals to the good and leading it home for the first time since a game against Las Vegas Lights in September. If you remember that as a Phoenix fan, that one came off the rails towards the stretch. 2 late goals in stoppage time from the Lights. Turned a 1-0 lead for Rising into a 2-1 defeat. Rocco Rios Novo made a mistake. That cost him. As Usman Jabang, I believe, found the back of the net. 73rd minute, there's a foul. Darius Johnson, who came onto the pitch moments ago, he replaced, and we missed that one. He replaced Remy Cabral. So Isan Sako is probably playing the number 9 now for Phoenix. Over the top, headed down for Ben Morris, looking to roam. Whipped wide for Donor. Donor, a good cross up for Smith. It sneaks to the back post and away for a corner kick. That would have been a nice instant response from the visitors.
Now Phoenix has to defend. Can they keep the momentum on their side with a successful set-piece defense?
Williams will swing one in. Well struck towards the 6, bounced around off the backside of Michael Bryant. He's protesting.
You noted, Ryan, that we didn't, really see Darius Johnson hit the pitch. I didn't notice that he was on until he was right in front of goal with the ball at his feet.
Are we sure he didn't sneak on from the other side?
I didn't know we had rolling subs.
Our spotter, Jason Ritchie, dropped the ball on that one. Tragic. Filling in tonight is Jay Rich. Wonderful crew. He, Mahir Sinhasan, myself. Kevin's okay. Avievu in behind, swept up by Donor for Detroit. Chapman. And Donor slipped away. No foul, instead of throw. Kevin's like a good stadium hot dog, right? Give you a 6.5 out of 10 on most days.
Come on, man.
Some days it can drop down to a 5.5.
Can't do anything.
I myself might be a little more volatile, right? Could be an 8, could be a 3. In behind, Walls will sweep. What is that, like nachos?
No,
Pizza?
that's stadium pizza.
Pizza. Cleared away by Casey Walls, throwing Detroit. 15 to play from 38th in Washington. A 2-0 lead for Phoenix Rising. Goal scorers Hope Avievu and Colin Smith. Avievu just nabbed his 2nd of the year, his 4th goal involvement in a Phoenix Rising shirt through 6 games. He is slowly, Avievu, approaching one of the better starts for a player in a Phoenix Rising shirt. To go back, really, Rufat Dadashov, the hat trick in his opening game in Rising Red. I'm sure Didier Drogba did something cool for Phoenix.
I would hope.
Amu Mensah, a touch for Detroit. Back they go, good pressure by Johnson, giving them good legs. Center of the park. Good touch, Cedeno splitting in Morris. Morris looking for space, one back Saint. Skeers, Sako, Johnson, Avievu, good one-touch stuff from Phoenix. Avievu giving Johnson a ball to chase. One back, and really well done, really. On the outside by the number 5, Stephen Carroll. Over the top from Morris, cleared by Smith. Nestled by Sako and Avievu, and in behind for Rivera. He keeps it in play. He is onside on the left side in the 77th. Rivera towards the 18. Damian dropping onto his right foot. It's a good save. Right in the center of the goal mouth for Carlos Herrera on one knee.
so technical. One-touch stuff is something that shredded Rising when they played Rhode Island in their last home game. And it felt like the difference between a team that had played for 12 months together and a team that had played for about 12 weeks together. This time, that one-touch stuff slowly but surely developing for Phoenix.
And behind for Detroit, looking for the run of Smith, cleared away by Walls, who's given Rising good minutes. Rivera, Sacco dropping deep, back heel, Skeers, center park, Avievu, and he's fouled through the backside by Mike Bryant. Free kick for Phoenix, who are readying their final change. It looks to be Darius Formella. It would make his 6th appearance in a Rising shirt through 6 games, just the 1 start. 2 starts for Darek Formella. And we will stop play for a hydration break. Much more entertaining match than it was to the point of our last hydration break, Kevin Cardez.
Yeah, this one we go into with a bigger smile on our face. 2 goals for Rising, and they've slowly but surely figured it out. There have been moments where you've seen the lapses on the back end, and it feels like Detroit's had their opportunities to capitalize and make this one more of a puncher's match, but Phoenix doing just enough, over and over, just enough. It's the one-touch stuff that has developed. It's the defensive, hard-nosed, gritty work from the back line, and whether it's Braxton at 18 or it's Popmar Boy wearing the armband or Quaisho off the left, everybody has done their job, and then it finishes up top, whether it's Marga or Damien or Hope. So much connection, so fluid, and they've done enough to be up 2-0, and it feels like they've earned it.
You note Popmar Boy, who's been much more solid today than his last couple of Rising outings.
Yeah, Pop wanted to be better, and I would say that this was one of the poorer stretches of games that we've seen Pop play to open up the year. He was sort of finding himself at the beginning of 2024. He didn't start, and sometimes he wasn't even selected to play in the early goings of last year, but then he grew into one of those all-level, all-league talents in the entire championship at center back, and he became a grown man, a professional in front of our eyes. He started this year a little slower, but he's worked his way back in, and you can see that ball control over and over and over. He looks so much more confident, so much more poised, and now he's doing his job. He's had a great night.
Players back on the pitch. He's having to play now towards the tail end of this game next to Casey Walls, who Mahir is noting is hearing a little bit more from his goalkeeper, Tristan Henry. Mahir?
Yeah, Tristan Henry really started off this game calm, cool, and collected because of Braxton Montgomery in that left center back spot. With Walls coming in, he seemed a little bit restless at times, especially in his decision making. So Henry trying to give him some sort of leadership, especially with Walls playing in his first USL championship game tonight.
Mahir, thanks. He's got the ball right now as we restart play. Formella's first touch for Phoenix. He's come in for the goal scorer, Avievu. It's another chance for Hope Avievu to strike for Phoenix, and he took it so well, Kev.
So well.
Sacco's offside on a long ball. Detroit will have it. They will need to chase 2 goals in the final 10+ minutes of this game. And behind wide left, a challenge from Johnson, a foul from Darius Johnson. Detroit have not scored since they scored 2 against Birmingham match week 3. They scored 2 in each of the first 3 games. Problem-solving skills of Danny Dicio, his sweats, his t-shirt on full display. Believe me, the haggard look is very much a facade for one of the more meticulous men in the league. Ryan Williams will take, looks to serve one in. 5 yards off from the near touchline on the left side of Detroit, just outside the 18. Williams drives one, back post. Amu Mensah couldn't get there. Henry does, and he falls. And he will slip and waste some time. Amu Mensah is down on the ground outside of the 18. He's slow to get up. A little hobbled on his right foot.
Lots of contact on the back post there. Saw a few bodies collide. Amu Mensah, really the recipient of most of the hard contact over there, manages to get up and run it off. Now Tristan doing some time wasting and trying to find a way to stretch this last 10 minutes out and make it easier for his team.
Johnson won the header. Skeers knotted it down. Sacco got it again. Could not keep it. Cedeno for Detroit. And Donor with room. More space for Maury Donor to drive through. Maury Donor whipped wide. Chance for Morris to cross low. Stung away by Emil Quaisho of Phoenix. It's a corner kick for Detroit. A rising side searching for a first home win since September 21st. Of last year. In swinging ball coming. Almost everybody in the box for Detroit. All 11 men on the pitch for Phoenix are inside the 18. defending for a first clean sheet of the year, is rising as well. Ball to the back post, free header. Donor has to leave it, will chase it to the touchline and just keep it in on the near left side. Donor on his right, that's his weaker foot. Cuts one well, Chapman dipping high, back post headed away Quayshow. Up to the top of the 18, Marboy, fouled by Donor. Phoenix might want to play quick. They have the numbers to do so, they will slow. The silent leader, J.P. Scarce, tending to pop Marboy.
Why wouldn't you play slow at this point? I feel like if they wouldn't have scored that goal off the foot of Hope Abayevu, yeah, maybe they're going to restart quick, but instead, slow it down. You're up 2-0. Try to find a way to stretch this one out as long as you can, and just, add to the time.
Phoenix get the restart in the 83rd. That last win, September 21st win of last year, a 4-0 thumping of San Antonio that gave Rising real hope. Towards the tail end of the 2024 season, it slipped away at times from that point on.
Huge Damian Barker-John goal in that one.
It's true. Over the top it goes. Walls will usher it towards the body of Henry. Well defended by Casey Walls.
You know, Ryan, the big difference I've noticed between Tristan Henry and Rocco Rios Novo, comparing starting goalkeepers right now and last year.
Big comparison.
Rocco loved to fall on the ball. Big fan of sitting there and just looking up and looking around like he had just gotten punched.
He
Tristan
was, Rocco, in every sense of the word, the most flamboyant of fellas.
Fearless, too.
Fearless, all the Fs. Maybe not all of them.
A few.
Chance for Chapman to drive one left. He does so. Room for Reese Williams. He's been held quiet today. Williams tucking in. Johnson put a hit through the side. It's cleared away. Detroit's dugout did not like it. They've got to throw. Amu Mensah, 84th. Trying to find the room, Devin Amu Mensah is. Eventually he gets the ball into the feet of Reese Williams. Ducks beyond, lost his dribble. Colin Smith has it. Colin Smith clears. Good pressure from Amu Mensah. It's another throw in, attacking third for Detroit, left side. They have a couple of more options to call to on the bench if they so choose. Le Rouge. Long throw, Amu Mensah. Everybody making their way in towards the 18-yard box. Amu Mensah, straight as an arrow, nodded along, and a foul. Too much hands on the backside of Formella. It's a Phoenix free kick coming. This game's gotten very tight from the referee, Natalie Simon.
Gotta control the emotions now. You know, home game for Phoenix, it would mean a lot to win, and a hard road game for Detroit. Don't let tempers flare too high, because then you'll have an issue on your hands.
85th for Tristan Henry. He's going to shove everybody forward. Strikes one high into the sky, that black kit. Sacco didn't win the header. Carroll nods it down though, but for Damian Rivera of Phoenix Rising. Darius Formella, Emil Quayshow, and for Formella again down the left side. Cutting back onto his right, into some space for Quayshow. On the dribble is Emil Quayshow. Wide again Formella, on his right again Formella. Crossing in, top of the box, not well dealt with by Detroit, and then finally finished off by Chapman. Detroit the other direction, Donor. Maury Donor down the right side, looking for something, no real options. Morris checks in and gets it up for DCFC. Switch to play, Amu Mensah in the attacking half. And wide left, heels on the touchline for Reese Williams. Cutting onto his right, Williams. Space, Ryan Williams. Good bit of room, Cedeno. Bryant, up into the 18, Morris chesting down. Amu Mensah, good space. Amu Mensah, Morris. Ben Morris by the byline, looking to cut one back. One by Scarce, kept by Detroit. Amu Mensah, Morris, clipping, back post, away by Quayshow. Rivera has it now in his own half, looking to dribble. 1v1 with Donor, Damian Rivera gets beyond him. And Saint has it, and back for Quayshow. And up over the top for Sacco. One by Detroit.
Detroit, valuable opportunities and time in the final third, but they just can't find that connection in front of the net. Still no big chance.
Williams across, back post for Darren Smith! There's the goal for Detroit. The real chance did come. And it's the third of the year for Darren Smith in the 87th. A 2-1 game. And DCFC will make this very hard on Phoenix to close this game out.
Well, Rising out to their tally, they haven't had a clean sheet in 8 games dating back to last year. They'll make it 9 this time. Still trying to find that 0 on the score sheet for the opponent, but man, what an acrobatic finish for Darren Smith. Manages to put it up and over the hands of Tristan Henry, and now the Rising have a handful.
Henry has it. Finds Quayshaw on the left side. Defensive third of Rising. They've got the ball. Quayshaw can only clear away, and now the aforementioned Las Vegas game can really come into the forefront of your minds. Ball over the top. Detroit looking to probe. Smith trying to defend. He is surely fouled in the corner, and was. It's Reese Williams who's frustrated. Again, that Las Vegas game, Rising had a 1-0 lead at home. Here at 38th and Washington, stepping into stoppage time. Conceded twice in the final 8 minutes of that contest to lose 2-1. The ever so fierce and feisty Detroit City back in this game. 88th 2-1. Free kick Phoenix. Marboy lumps it into the night sky. Johnson chasing for Rising, doesn't win. Quayshaw can't collect. Smith does win the ball for Detroit, and Walls just clears. I think that's going to become the game for Phoenix Rising.
I agree. I mean, Detroit on the chase still. Phoenix hasn't had any really strung together possession, I'd say 10 or 15 minutes now. Just chasing and working and trying to find ways to snuff out Detroit. You mentioned they never stop working, and they haven't stopped all this time, and now the window opened just a little, just trying to find a point or more.
Pinged ball from left to right. Maury Donor a touch. Backwards he goes. Finds the feet now of Jay Chapman. Slaloms beyond one. Turning forward beyond Johnson. Finds Ben Morris's feet. Reese Williams is in the area. Crossing low for Smith! 2 for Detroit in quick succession! And Darren Smith dashes his second of the game in. It's 2-2.
I'd be hyped right now if I were you guys.
Can you believe it? I mean, it just felt like Detroit had knocked so many times. Maybe they'd open the door once, but I didn't think they'd get home twice. Man, Phoenix not strong enough. And it's been those chances, those half chances that have given you a little bit of pause. Hey, maybe Detroit can break this one open. They do. Now it's just a point.
A chance ball in the box for Darren Smith on a pair of occasions. One he had to jump for, one he had to lunge for along the ground. And he has a brace at 38th and Washington. 90th minute, 2 apiece. Quayshaw slow to get up for Phoenix. He scored in the 87th and the 90th. Darren Smith has dragged Detroit level, and here come Le Rouge for a third. This could be some twist. Cedeno! What a moment! Yesiel Cedeno! 3-2 Detroit! Chaos in the corner! 3 goals in 4 minutes for DCFC! Magic from Yesiel Cedeno.
Unbelievable from Phoenix Rising. You couldn't dream of a worse final 5, and now extra time, the only thing that holds Rising from one of the most devastating home losses in a very, very long time. Detroit kept pushing. They never stopped working. They tried to open the door, and they got there, then they got there again, and you thought, okay, how much is left in the tank? Enough. That's the answer, one word.
Ever plucky, ever punchy. The prize fighters of Detroit City get pushed onto the canvas, and they do not crawl back up. They leap. They find 3 in quick succession, and they have a goal advantage on the road from 2 goals down. Yesiel Cedeno scores a screamer for his first of the year.
Nothing short of tragic for Phoenix. And it's been sort of like this at home for almost the last 2 years, but specifically through their first 3 home matches in 2025. Tulsa fell flat. Rhode Island didn't feel like enough, and this time it feels like they couldn't finish it off.
Again, you go back to that Phoenix game, their last home game in which it had a lead. Remy Cabral scored in the 60th minute for a 1-0 advantage against Las Vegas Lights. 96th minute, J.C. Ngondo scored. 99th minute, Grayson Duty scored. And slipping his walls, and Ennis Morris, he will square it up to the top of the box for a fourth maybe. It bounces around. It's defended well by Marboy. And Skierce the other direction for Rising in the 93rd. We don't really know the stoppage time. Try and get a look at this. As a substitute comes for Detroit, and they will sacrifice Cedeno. It will be Dominic Gasso who will come in for LaRouche. Yesiel Cedeno, who struck one from the right side in the half space from 25 or so yards out, scorched one beyond the outstretched arm of Tristan Henry. It slid ever so carefully into the side netting on the far post. That was the third for Detroit. It quickly followed the brace of Darren Smith, and they scored 3 goals in 4 minutes. Phoenix Rising had 3 points in the bag, and now they don't have any. Everybody rushing forward for the side in red. 94th minute. Colin Smith will strike. It'll leak up towards the 18. It's bounced around. It's fallen for Phoenix. It is out for a corner kick on the far side. In front of the south end, Rising have a set piece offering.
Perhaps the most dramatic opportunity here. Can they get it done on the corner?
Everybody except Tristan Henry and Colin Smith stand inside the 18 for both teams. Emil Quayshaw will take for Rising. In-swinger, left foot, drives, back post, all around, hangs up, chance to head again, bouncing around, and claimed by Maury Donor for Detroit. And Colin Smith is the only defender, and he's defended well. And Smith fouls, and Donor will drive. Nothing but green grass in front, whipped to the right side of a 3-2 game in the 95th. Over the touchline it goes. Rising have a throw. This will be one that surely for both teams will be remembered towards the tail end of the season in the fights for the playoffs and the fights for home playoff games. Over the top from Marboy, no striker to shove to. And Carlos Herrera can calmly waste some time. What a turn of events at 38th and Washington. And it's all down to the devastating domination that Detroit came out with towards the tail end. They created chances, they put the ball in the box, and they put the ball in the back of the net.
They couldn't find it in the first 45. They couldn't find it in the first 80, and eventually they do. You just had the feeling if they kept working that eventually it would break free for them, and it did. And now you completely flipped the game on its head in the span of 4 or 5 minutes, and tragedy is on the precipice for Phoenix Rising.
Skierce shunting forward, pushing the ball into the feet of Colin Smith. Smith lifting it into the 18, heading away is Detroit, a second chance, not cleared. Skierce scooping it up, falls at the top of the box for Formella, whipped wide for Darius Johnson. Inside the 18 on the left side, Johnson strikes a shot, it's blocked away. And still we play on into the 96th. Walls sweeping up for Phoenix. Quayshaw crossing from deep. Up into the box, headed away by Amu Mensah. Sacco gets a touch. And he's turned away from the ball, but Sacco wins it again. Driving forward, Sacco, ball into the box for Pop Marboy! Wide of the far post, a goal kick. Still 3-2 it remains.
What a strike there by Sacco. Pop Marboy for the second time tonight, just feet off of a true chance on net from his forehead. He did it a couple times last year. He hasn't found it so far in 2025, but he said he wanted to more. Man, that feels like it could have been the last one for Phoenix. We'll see. Still unsure of how much extra time we have to play.
Detroit 3, Phoenix 2. Herrera to take the goal kick long. A look to the watch. 1, 2, 3 whistles. And Detroit City strike for 3 in mere minutes to bring Phoenix Rising to its knees on this Saturday night. 3-2 your final.
Score 3, bring home 3. Detroit with a unforgettable result, likely one of the best they'll ever have or have had to this point. So pivotal, they needed it on a half slide, 2 draws and a loss in their last 3. They managed to bring home their first win in the last month, and they make it 3 on the year. Rising couldn't find their second. They couldn't find their third goal. It feels like this was one that they absolutely dropped. There's times when it goes back and forth and you think, that's just football. Not this one. This is a drop.
In true USL Championship fashion, we should really leave you with one statement. This league,
perhaps the biggest league in the world. That's what some are saying.
It can happen. 42nd minute, Colin Smith. 71st minute, Hope Avievu for Phoenix. It was 2-0. Until the 87th minute, Darren Smith, the substitute, grabbed his 3rd and 4th goals of the year to bring us level at 2 apiece. And then Yesiel Cedeno scored the goal of the week in the USL Championship. And Danny Dicio's darling Detroit side turn a 2-0 deficit into 3 points and a 3-2 win. We'll break it down in the Rising Radio post-game show. You can go to KDUS AM 1060 and the Phoenix Rising social media pages for that. But for now, the final score from 38th and Washington is 3-2, and Detroit steal 3 points on the road. They go to 11 points on the year. Boy, do they never say die, the men from Michigan. We'll step aside.
Uzuchukwu's in. Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL champions.
Bliss and a burst of red smoke. Phoenix Rising, our home. Welcome to 38th and Washington.
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
Buying a house can seem almost impossible, especially today. But with the right agent in your corner, it makes the challenge seem effortless. Hi, I'm Connor Cochran with Good Oak Real Estate, your go-to agent in the Valley. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Because finding the perfect home shouldn't be stressful, it should be exciting. Call 480-688-3200 today. Again, that's 480-688-3200. Let's have the conversation.
An early start for ASU baseball this Sunday on KDUS AM 1060. Join the Sun Devils as they look to end their weekend series with a win against the Bearcats. ASU is ready to prove their talents in the diamond and stand tall against all of their Big 12 opponents. The voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy, will have the call live from Ohio. It's ASU versus Cincinnati, pregame at 9:45 a.m. and first pitch at 10 on KDUS AM 1060 and KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils. Monday morning, ASU baseball over on KAZG 1440. The Sun Devils make the way over to Indiana after wrapping up their weekend against Cincinnati to take on Purdue. Join the Sun Devils as they look to start their week on the diamond on a high note. It's Tim Healy on the live call, ASU baseball versus Purdue. Pregame starts bright and early at 9:45 a.m. and first pitch at 10 a.m. over on KAZG 1440 and online at KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils.
The lunch break.
If this team wants to go where they think they can go, deep in the playoffs, standing toe-to-toe, trading blows with the Dodgers, Zach Gallen might have to win a start in Dodger Stadium. Zach Gallen might have to go into Philadelphia, might have to go into New York, might have to go into Atlanta and win a road start for this team.
The lunch break, heard from 11 to 1 here on KDUS AM 1060 and the KDUS AM 1060 app.
You're listening to The Jim Rome Show.
Did the Mavericks raise ticket prices as soon as they saw Kyrie writhing on the floor in pain? Would not surprise me at all, given that's exactly what they did after they dealt Luka and before Kyrie went down. Never mind raising ticket prices. Now that Kyrie is lost for the year, why not just make it official and announce today that you're moving the franchise to Vegas? Trust me, nobody would be surprised.
3, 2.
Time for one last kick of the ball on tonight's match. It's Rising Radio postgame wrap-up on the Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
How about that for a script flip? 2-0 down to 3-2 winners. Detroit City scraped 3 points on the road at 38th and Washington. And really, it should come down to Phoenix Rising falling flat on its face towards the tail end. That's a tough one to swallow if you're Phoenix. 2-0 up. Colin Smith scores a goal. Hope Avievu scores a goal. And then you concede 4 minutes of 3 goals. 3 goals in 4 minutes to Detroit. 3-2 your final score. Ryan Sikora, Kevin Cardez here on the Rising Radio postgame wrap-up presented by Crown Public House. Mahir Sinhasan will join us in a moment. We're trying to corral Darnell King or Pamadou Ka. Kevin, your thoughts first on the closing 10 minutes of that game, then on the game as a whole.
I felt like Rising defended better in the first 40 of the second half than they did in the second 40 of the match than the first 45 of the game. You know, in the first half, it felt like Rising was on their back heel and that they were just constantly fighting and trying to, you know, break open that Detroit attack, and Detroit was on the counter and their defense was so stiff. And then Phoenix they settle in, and then they score that second goal and they're up 2-0, and then the last 10, it just falls off. The last 10 so crucial, and it just didn't click.
And we do have assistant coach Darnell King with us here. It's a tough one to swallow, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of thing that happens. Teams will punish you if you fall asleep, like what happened to us there. And you know, we have to smell blood in the water and smell the victory right at the palm of our feet. And I think that's just kind of like what you saw right here tonight.
You've been on both ends of endings like that in your career as a player. How hard is it to take for that playing group that has certainly felt like they had 3 points clutched in their hands, and now you have to get back in that locker room and almost feel as though you blew it?
Yeah, you would definitely question mentality if they didn't feel it. I know those guys are definitely feeling this one. They lost. So I mean, I'm sure they're upset about it. I know that's not what they wanted to do, especially the performance that they put in early on in the game. But it's a 90-minute game. You can't turn off in the last 10 minutes. So, you know, we got punished for it, and it's something that we'll learn from and do better next time.
I mean, what do you take from those first 80-85 then, the positives that came from this contest as you move forward towards a U.S. Open Cup game in the midweek and then Sacramento next Saturday?
Yeah, guys getting on the end of it, reading the attributes of their players. Obviously, you see Marga in the 1v1 situations. You know that majority of the time he's going to win his duels, and then you get on the end of it. You guys get in the area and just trust that the ball's going to come to you like Colin did. Colin was in a great spot and trusted that his teammate was going to put the ball in the area. And you see those type of things happen. When we trust and play and work on the things that we worked on throughout the week, you'll see benefits throughout the game.
All right, Coach, thank you for your time. Tough
Cheers,
one,
guys. Thank you, guys.
3-2. Darnell King, the assistant coach. We keep talking about it. Just, as he put it, you know, game's 90 minutes, game's 100 minutes. Can't really happen, Kev.
Yeah, it's a reverse on the issues that we've seen through the first 5, right? Getting punched first, conceding early, not being able to get a foothold in the match before the other team. Being that first puncher was the biggest issue. This time, they not only landed the first punch, but they landed the second. Instead, no knockout came because Detroit came in and hit 2 uppercuts, and then finally, for the KO, got that third. It's just a complete flip on its head, and now you go to the drawing board with completely new questions, a completely new set of issues that you didn't see before this, which is valuable early. You want to see this before it's too late, before the run-in begins at the end, but for now, it just hurts.
Mahir is with us now, down on the touchline. To paint the picture, there is one man on the far side of the pitch, wandering rather aimlessly. He's cleaning the bench. He's turned his back to the media men that are coming to claim him. He's taking a seat on the bench now. That man is Pamadou Ka, Phoenix Rising's manager. Darnell King put it, those guys are mentality guys. They're going to feel it. They're going to know that they screwed up the players. But no one's going to feel it more than Phoenix Rising's manager, Maherson Hassan.
Yeah, and I think you take a look at Pa Motoka's philosophy. I mean, he's a guy that loves attacking. He loves intensity, and yet you look at this Phoenix Rising team, they've only managed to get one win for the start of this season. And they came really close today, and I think it just came back to just little moments of slip-ups for Phoenix. And for Detroit, what was 5 minutes of brilliance when you look at Darren Smith coming off the bench, getting that first goal, and then getting the equalizer. Just overall, when you look at Pa Motoka's philosophy, I think it goes back to the idea that I touched upon at the top of the show, where he knew what his team is capable of doing. And they were 5 to 10 minutes of showing what they are capable of doing with 3 points, if only. And I think that's where, if you're Pa Motoka, it's just about getting towards the finish line.
To wrap up Mahir's point in a bow, Kevin, winning is hard. Phoenix have not done a lot of that as of late. They had not won at home since September 21st of last year. They had not won back-to-back games since a pair of away wins in October. It is very hard to win games in any professional league, and this one is very much included in that. You have to wrap up games like that when you're in the situation that Phoenix Rising was in.
Yeah, winning games is hard, and winning games is also lonely. This is off of the back of one of the most impressive wins in franchise history. The club notched a win against the top team in the West just 7 days ago, and yet it's not enough, because now you're right back to the drawing board of where did we go wrong? You win 2-1, you scored 2 goals on the road, you managed to keep San Antonio at bay, you do everything right, and then you take a 2-goal lead at home and you have an opportunity to put Detroit away and really start your climb. Instead, 5 minutes away from that, it all shatters down and you're left with the same questions you were just a week ago. How do you fix it? Where does it get better? And where do we start? Because that fast start is slowly but surely eluding a Rising team that knew that's what they needed, because that was the difference last year, and it might become the difference this year as well.
I would say we'll let this one simmer, but we'll rather let it steep, leave the bitter taste in your mouth. 3-2, we'll step aside, we'll break it down, some stats, a little more analysis, some scores from around the league. Match week 6 in the USL Championship. Detroit City surged late, scored 3, and beat Phoenix Rising 3-2.
Suzuchuku's in. Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL Champions.
Bliss and a burst of red smoke. Phoenix Rising, our home. Welcome to 38th and Washington.
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
Buying a house can seem almost impossible, especially today. But with the right agent in your corner, it makes the challenge seem effortless. Hi, I'm Connor Cochran with Good Oak Real Estate, your go-to agent in the Valley. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Because finding the perfect home shouldn't be stressful, it should be exciting. Call 480-688-3200 today. Again, that's 480-688-3200. Let's have the conversation.
An early start for ASU baseball this Sunday on KDUS AM 1060. Join the Sun Devils as they look to end their weekend series with a win against the Bearcats. ASU is ready to prove their talent in the diamond and stand tall against all of their Big 12 opponents. The voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy, will have the call live from Ohio. It's ASU versus Cincinnati, pregame at 9:45 a.m. and first pitch at 10 on KDUS AM 1060 and KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils. Monday morning, ASU baseball over on KAZG 1440. The Sun Devils make the way over to Indiana after wrapping up their weekend against Cincinnati to take on Purdue. Join the Sun Devils as they look to start their week on the diamond on a high note. It's Tim Healy on the live call, ASU baseball versus Purdue. A pregame starts bright and early at 9:45 a.m. and first pitch at 10 a.m. over on KAZG 1440 and online at KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils. This is the Rising Radio post-game wrap-up on the Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
What a finish by Yasiel Cedeno. Tucked away, bottom corner, sliding away from the goalkeeper's right. 3-2, Detroit got the win. Back here on the post-game wrap-up show presented by Crown Public House. Ryan Sikora, Kevin Cardez, Maherson Hassan. We'll give you the stats and the scores in a moment, but Kevin, again, it's just so hard. We talked a lot about the negatives at the top. Phoenix did a lot of good through the first 80 minutes or so.
Yeah, and I wanted to get to that too. They still scored 2 at home. They managed to break that, and they scored 2 against Rhode Island, but it felt like a more resounding and punctual 2. They had the lead, and they had an opportunity to take it home. That's something that they didn't have against Rhode Island. Constantly on the chase at home against the Anchors, but this time they had the rope, and it was the first time at home so far that they did that. They also were pretty firm until that last 5. I felt like they settled back in, and they had depth. Casey Walls came off the bench and gave them great minutes. That center back depth finally but slowly repleting itself, and it's coming back, and Casey looked good, and Braxton Montgomery had another really good game through the center, and Colin Smith continues to keep firing and getting better. It feels like every single week. Hope Avayevu notches his 4th goal contribution through 6. It's getting better. Getting better doesn't matter when the results don't come at a certain point, and you can say, hey, we're going to get better, but at a certain point, you run out of that grace, and then you need to start getting the points.
It's the first one, and to steal another line as we have a couple of times tonight, Mihir, from Pamadou Ka, if the performances weren't good, he'd be concerned. The performance of the last 10 minutes of this game was concerning, and it does not get any easier for Phoenix. Open Cup against Tulsa on the road, tough place to play. Sacramento, who have been hit or miss to start the season at home, but that's a 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon scorcher in Phoenix. So tough stretch coming for Phoenix Rising, Mihir Sinhasan.
Yeah, and I think when you take a look at the result today, you can take a look at it and say there were points left on the table, but you can also look at this next stretch as an opportunity. Again, Tulsa, a team that took 3 points against Phoenix Rising here at 38th in Washington to start off the season. Again, a different type of competition with the Open Cup, but nonetheless a chance of revenge. And then you take a look at Sacramento, again, a team that for the longest time under Mark Briggs was really, really good and just pushing the pace, one of the best teams in the Western Conference. And again, of course, those 2 teams met up in the 2023 Western Conference Final. That seems like a long time ago now, but at the same time, you have to keep on looking forward, right? This is a race. We've seen Phoenix Rising run this race throughout the past few years. 2023, when they won the USL Championship, I should say, they were a 6th seed. You know, they had to go on the road. They had to fight and get those results. Even last year with all of the turmoil that happened in the middle of the season, they still managed to get to the playoffs as an 8th seed. So this is a marathon, not a sprint race for Phoenix Rising.
Yes, sir. We'll give you the scores from around the league. Match week 6 in the USL Championship. Already touched on 0-0 Las Vegas Lexington, 2-1 Loudoun Tampa. Loudoun wins that one. Charleston a 2-1 win over Pittsburgh. Oakland a 2-1 win over those Tulsa. That Tulsa side. Miami 2-1, the upset of the week over San Antonio. New Mexico 1-0 over North Carolina. Sacramento lost as well. 2-1 defeat to Orange County. Monterey, another win for the Seasiders. 2-1 over Colorado Springs. Phoenix 2, Detroit 3. Kevin Cardez, you have the final word.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot to build on for Phoenix. I think they have an opportunity to make this, a turning of the corner, even though they didn't win. Sometimes you think of, hey, when did the season turn around? And it's just a big win. And maybe this is the loss that turns it around, that one where you realize that, I like the way Darnell put it, you have to smell blood in the water, and you have to realize when victory is right at your feet. When can you just pick it up and take it home? Something they didn't do tonight, something that they figured out how to do against San Antonio, but at times couldn't get it done on this night match. Chances, not enough. Can they bring it home next time? And now they have a midweek match to get right and maybe get a punch back on FC Tulsa that took it home against them in the opener.
Early in the season, this broadcaster will choose to be polite. That's points dropped, punches thrown by the opposition, but it's a team that's learning how to win games, and that's what Phoenix is going to be for some time. But at some point, that learning has to start, and it has to start quicker rather than later. Phoenix Rising, 2 goals. Detroit City, 3 goals, all 3 coming in the final 5 minutes of this game. Phoenix Rising had a 2-0 lead. It evaporated in front of their very eyes at 38th and Washington. 3-2 your final score on Rising Radio. For Kevin Cardez, for Mihir Sinhasan, for our pinch hitter at the production chair, Jason Ritchie. Ryan Sikora saying so long from 38th and Washington. Phoenix away in the midweek to Tulsa. We'll have that one for you right here on the Phoenix Rising social media pages.